We'll give you a Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 7th, 2023 Select Board meeting. We are coming in from executive session tonight, so I will call the open meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. We are a full board tonight. Mr. Mignani has just stepped out, but we are all here this evening and also joined by our town manager, Michael Herbert, and our assistant town manager, Jen Ball. And we are being recorded and live streamed by WACA-TV this evening. So I would ask that if anyone is on Zoom this evening and would like to speak tonight, to use the raise hand function, and then we will go ahead and recognize you. So let's go ahead and open it up for citizens' participation tonight. Mark, I see your hand up, so go ahead and unmute yourself. Hi, Mark.
Ethan, thank you. Mark, sorry for on Hawthorne Road. I'll make this quick because I just scanned the agenda. This is to the town manager, Mr. Town Manager. Thank you early this afternoon. And it's not on the agenda of the comprehensive plan, but I did make my opinions known to you. I thank you for listening. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Just remember, ways to close that gap.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark. Joan, I see you have your hand up. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself? Hi, Joan.
Hi, good morning. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Joan Confrati, One Shore Road. I'm here representing the Historical Commission tonight. The Historical Commission asked me to come and let you know that we took a straw vote last night, and had a consensus of the commission that the Hall House kiosk sign should be put on the front corner of the property to the right of the driveway on the Gustafson property. I know there's been some discussion about whether he could put it on the Framingham State property or not. And the Historic Commission feels strongly that it should go on the Gustafson property itself. That doesn't mean, I guess, that he couldn't purchase some of that land if he chose to, but he does not own the area to the left of the driveway. And although he may want to consider purchasing, the Framingham State would have to maintain and retain that sign. And we feel it will be difficult to ensure that they would do that. And if it's not on the Hall House property itself and written up in the deed. So if the decision of the board should be that to allow it to be on the Framingham State property, there would need to be a document drawn up, I'm assuming, to ensure the retention and maintenance of the kiosk sign. And the commission would very much like to review the documentation before it is approved and signed, if that ends up being the case. So that was basically the essence of what we discussed last night, and would just like to bring that to the board.
Great. Thank you so much, Joan. We have Mr. Gustafson coming this evening, so we will communicate that to him as well. And thank you and the Historical Commission for all the work that you guys have done on this. Michael Michael has something to.
Hey, Joan, if you don't mind, I just had a couple questions. So first of all, thank you and the Historical Commission, but I know in general, but I know you and Helen put a lot of work in on that kiosk. So thank you very, very much for putting that together. It came out great.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad it was fun. Did you, I know we had talked at the last meeting that I had attended about, payment from Mr. Gustafson in relation to some of the work that the Historical Commission wanted to do in regards to a downtown historic district. And we had secured a consultant for that. Has that been finalized from your perspective, from the Historical Commission's perspective?
It would probably be a question to ask Jim. I don't believe so. We had to redo our meeting last night. So Stacy Spies was supposed to come to that meeting. And so that was delayed because she hadn't been at the previous meeting. I think you know about
Okay.
the issue. So I think that may have been pushed off a little bit, but Jim would probably be the right person to talk to about that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and thank you all for everything you do.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay.
Is there anyone else here for, come on up to the microphone, Tracy.
Hi, my name is Tracy Terry, 11 Lorraine Drive. I just wanted to come to the board and thank you for the grant you gave to A Simple Gesture and tell you very briefly what we do. This was started by Ashland High School students a number of years ago, and it continues to be run by Ashland High School students. I'm the adult coordinator. Our two students, they're juniors, almost rising seniors. Mia Tell and Annika Tripathi couldn't be here tonight. But we did want to tell you just briefly, we have 135 donors currently, and our goal is to increase that pool of donors as much as we can. We get about, I'd say, 80 in a given pickup. We pick up every 6 weeks from donors throughout town and work with the town to deliver that food to the Ashland Food Pantry. So we also want to thank everyone at the food pantry, Jen, who's helped us with access when we pick up the food. It's really a team effort with the town and A Simple Gesture. So what we do is people sign up. They leave a bag of food on their front porch. We send them a reminder with whatever the food pantry needs in that time period, and we leave them a new bag. So with the grant, we'll be buying additional bags. I need to fill out the paperwork to do a table at the farmer's market this summer. And we're also going to set up a text reminder system. Right now, we send an email out 2 weeks, 1 week, and the day before to remind people. And we polled our donors, and they think a text reminder system would be beneficial to them as well. So that's what we're using the grant for. We thank you very much for your support and hope to grow the program so we can continue to support the residents in need in town. Thank you.
Yolanda.
Would you mind, how does a person sign up?
Yeah, A Simple Gesture Ashland.org. You can sign up there to be a donor. We also use about 12 students for drivers when we pick up donations every 6 weeks, and other volunteers to sort the food. Usually it's all students. So at A Simple Gesture Ashland.org, or we also have a Facebook page, A Simple Gesture Ashland. Thank you.
So Tracy, I've been following this story for a while, and I'd like to connect with you because I think this would be a great story for Around the Clock.
Wonderful.
And talk to the kids, talk to you, and just help promote it. So I'll
That would
reach
be
out
great.
to you, or if you want to reach out to me.
I will,
And we
absolutely.
can do something. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
we think we reach out all the ways we can, and then we can find more. So
Yep.
there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I wish I knew. I'd be happy to donate."
Great.
And
So we'll
again,
connect, and we'll continue sharing
right.
their story.
The more we can share, the more we can serve
Exactly.
the community.
Great. And congratulations. It's a great
Oh,
program.
thank you.
Thank you. Can I just ask?
Thank you very much,
Tracy, yeah, thank you. This is impressive. How did you come to be involved in this? Are you a parent?
I am a parent, not of Annika or Mia, but just a parent in the community. The previous adult coordinator, her son started it, and she had, he's in college, she had run her course.
Yeah.
And as a donor, she sent a list to donors asking for
Oh, wow.
volunteers, and I was looking for a way to be engaged. Many of you know my husband, Mark, who's very engaged in the community, and my Girl Scout days were past, and this was a great opportunity
great.
for me to get involved.
Oh,
Good.
Thank you for doing
Of
it.
course.
That's a great
Don't
story.
forget to ask for an application form for Ashland Day on the 23rd of
Oh,
September.
I will, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That would be a
Thank
great,
you for doing what
another
you're
great
doing.
table. Right.
Yeah, so you know Gene Walker for the farmer's market is who you want to reach out to.
Yes.
And I know it's getting tight, so
I should do that right away.
immediately, because
Yes.
now they're at the point where they're adding potentially second community table.
Okay, so I
right
will,
away.
I will
Leave
add
here,
that,
do
I will
that.
add that tonight. Girls are studying for finals. I will take care of that.
There you go.
And when is the next pickup date? for-
Next pickup is June 24th.
Okay.
So we will be continuing to spread the word up until then, and we finalize the list literally that morning, so we can add every name we can on to our driver routes.
So, okay.
Okay, so thank you all.
Great, thank you. And we are happy to support it through the BAA grants.
Yes,
So
that's a great program.
it is. Okay, great. Is there anyone else here for citizens' participation tonight? If so, just use the raise hand function on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to our agenda. Our first scheduled appointment, under a scheduled appointment tonight, is a board reorganization. So every year following our election cycle, we rotate our board leadership and rotate the position of chair. So this is my last meeting as chair of the select board
For now.
for now, for this time around at least. So, so we generally rotate. The general thought is that members become clerks, and clerk becomes vice chair becomes chair, and that's sort of the general rotation. The position of chair is really just administrative. The person runs our meetings, helps make sure our agenda's organized, works with Michael and Jen and Susan Roby to get everything organized for the meetings and make sure that board members have an opportunity to put things on the agenda. And also is the primary person that responds to emails and requests from the public, from the community. So it's been a good year, and I'm ready to pass on the gavel. So
You're too quick.
I'm too quick.
You're too quick to pass that gavel.
It's been a good year. So I do want to just say it's been a
full year.
really great effort. Rob has been a good vice chair. Michael and Jen are amazing partners, and I couldn't have done it without Susan Roby, who literally responds to every single email that I send and every request, and is really great. So, so it's been a good year. So on that note, is there any discussion, or do we want to make a nomination for the next chair? Is there anything that anyone wants?
Sure, I would like to nominate Rob Scher for chair.
Is there, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unless there's other discussion that needs to, we're good?
Yep.
Okay, so do you accept this?
I do accept,
Okay.
Madam Chair, and I have some very impressive shoes to fill.
Oh.
With a very great attention to detail and organization, and just you set a high bar. So
Oh.
I'm sure I'll be reaching out for.
You can, we'll see that the good thing is like we're all in this together,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's,
We're a team.
we are a team,
Right.
so,
That's why we work.
so congratulations.
No, thank you.
And so we need to elect a vice chair.
Make a motion to, sorry. Make a motion to nominate Yolanda Greaves as vice chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to your help.
And so we need a nomination for clerk. So I will make a nomination for Joe as
Be
clerk.
happy to do it.
Okay.
Sound,
I'll second that nomination.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Does
Will
that
you-
mean I have to read that list?
Start writing.
You're gonna have to,
Start
you're gonna have to
writing.
do some, you're gonna have to do some reading.
The famous list. Make sure those
We've all been
last
there,
two
Joe.
tweets.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. So,
Several times.
so congratulations to the new board leadership. Unless the board has any objections, I'm going to go ahead and continue this meeting.
Yes, makes perfect
Right.
sense. Just
So,
go.
and then we will turn it over to Rob
Next
for
meeting.
our next meeting.
I just have a question. Are you going to continue to do those reminder emails so we get the right?
No, that's now your job, Rob.
Oh, we're in
It's
trouble
now
now.
your job.
I am, as you guys probably
Yeah,
have
that's
noticed,
true.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
I am a very type A personality.
good, that's good.
And I tend to be
Go.
very
What time's the
hyper-organized.
meeting? Oh, there's the email.
There's the email, so but it's been my pleasure to serve the board, it's been my pleasure to serve the community, and obviously we all continue to serve the community and each other, so,
Yep.
so congratulations to all you
It's
guys.
a
All right,
pleasure
thank you.
serving with you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, it's a good group.
Yeah.
So, moving on, our next group, we have a a great group of girls here, and I want you guys to come on up and get yourself set up. We have a demonstration from the Goofy Gyros Lego League team, and I do want you all to like introduce yourselves too. So go ahead and do whatever you need to set up. I did want to say I'm so glad you guys were able to come. I know that we had initially, had asked if you guys wanted to come, like, I think it was like January, and this school year is just crazy. I know the school year gets crazy. And I heard that there might be another competition coming up, so this might be like a really good practice for you guys too. Is that, yeah?
That's accurate.
Okay.
Competition that starts on Friday and it ends on Monday.
Okay. All right.
You need them to talk to the mic.
Okay. Do you want to?
Okay. I'll do a quick team introduction.
Okay. Okay. So I'm turning it over to you guys. Go ahead and
Thank
introduce
you.
yourselves.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Ganesh Iyer, and I have here with me Raji, my mom, and our friends here. And Raji and I run a homeschool robotics club here right out of Ashland. Our team here is Team Goofy Gyros. And Goofy Gyros participate in a robotics competition that is pretty popular in Massachusetts. It's called First Lego League. First Lego League is run by FIRST, the organization called FIRST, and it's intended to promote robotics and STEM education throughout the world. This team actually participated in a tournament this year, which was competed by almost 300 teams in Massachusetts, and they finished third during the state's championship event.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Every year, FIRST introduces a theme. This year's theme, or the 2022-23 season theme, was superpowered. And we wondered what is superpowered. And once they got the challenge for the season, they learned that it is about energy and how you can use energy efficiently in any kind of situation. And so they're challenged with some robotics challenge. And you will see a bunch of Lego robots. And this is an autonomous robot that they built. And they have to program this robot and build attachments, those are the things that go on the robot, to go and autonomously solve problems on a board that is defined by Lego. And that board is common for everyone. Everyone around the world gets the exact same board. They're set up exactly the same way, of course, if you read the instructions correctly. And then you're supposed to go build those robots in a given season and go solve that, write the program to go solve it. So they've done that.
Okay.
And as a part of that season, they also get to work on a science challenge that goes along with the robotics component of it. And that's the project that they're here to talk about today. And what they will be doing at the end of this week is they'll be participating in the WPI international tournament. They call it Waffle. And that's going to be held on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. It's open to public. And they'll be competing against 74 other international teams. So there are about 15 to 18 truly international teams coming, and then all the other teams other than Team Goofy Gyros are going to be outside of Massachusetts. Oh. So each state qualifies 2 to 3 teams, and then those 2 or 3 teams goes to various international competitions, and we got lucky to pick the WPI competition. Wow. So they're going to be really competing there, and they'll be using this exact robot and those attachments that they've built to go and compete on those boards there to solve the problem, and they'll be presenting the project to the judges to share what they've done and how they've shared this project with the community.
And what's the age range of the teams that they're competing against?
Thank you. So the FIRST offers a variety of programs. It actually starts all the way from 3 or 4 years old all the way to high school. And so they just slice that into different groups. This group is for elementary school kids, 4th, 5th grade. Typically 5th grade is where they enter in, and then it goes all the way till they leave middle school. So they're going to be competing against boys and girls that are that big, all the way through 8th grade. Some of them even in grade 9 if they qualify age-wise, and the age limits are a little different from country to country. So they're going to be competing across the spectrum. And they've done that. In Massachusetts, they've already done that, and they finished 3rd place along with 2 other teams, and each team has gone to a different place to compete.
Very cool.
So that's that's my team here, Team Goofy Gyros. So without further delay, I'm going to ask them to come share their names and then get going with the presentation.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anya and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Anushka and I'm in 7th grade. And I am Priya and I am 5th grade.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Priya. I'm Anya. And I'm Anushka. And we are the Goofy Gyros, team number 52042. The world, as we have created it, is a process of our thinking. It can't change without changing how we think. A quote by Albert Einstein.
By 2050, urban population is estimated to grow to 6.7 billion, increasing energy demands and carbon emissions. Energy produced by conventional methods alone will no longer scale without accelerating global warming.
The EIA estimates that 66% of primary sources of energy used in producing electricity is wasted in the process. The ICF International published that 2,100 gigawatts of energy is wasted every year in the U.S. alone. Research in energy harvesting has become a mega trend, and estimates show that recovering industrial wasted heat alone can help generate over 15 gigawatts of power. So what innovative solutions can be developed to recover wasted energy? We learned from our research that many strides have been made in the field of renewable technologies. This includes electricity generation from hydroelectric, wind, solar, geothermal, and tidal energy. Most of these technologies focus on harvesting geographically or seasonally available renewable resources.
We focused our research on wasted heat energy, the thermal energy that is dissipated by equipment and processes that we use to support our daily lives, but is never captured. For example, heat energy lost from hot water stored in water heaters, hot water in air pipes, industry chimneys, and vehicles powered by battery and IC engines.
Our solution, the capturing heat and regenerating electricity, aka CHARGE, focuses on harvesting wasted heat energy. Our charging pod, aka C-Pod, is a prototype device that uses thermoelectric generators and can be expanded for use in various household and industrial applications. In our research, we learned about a thermoelectric phenomenon called the Seebeck effect. When two dissimilar electrical conductors are subjected to a temperature difference, a voltage between the two materials is produced, creating an electrical current. This is the concept we harness in our C-Pod harvester prototype.
Our C-Pod harvester consists of 4 components. 1, the hot water tank HWT. This mimics the heat source that is radiating wasted heat. 2, the thermoelectric generator's TEG. This is the heart of a C-Pod. The hot side of the TEG is attached to the tank. Each C-Pod cell consists of 8 TEGs in a series connection.
Number 3, each TEG is attached to its own heatsink on its cold side. This increases the radiating surface of the cold side and maximizes heat dissipation. Number 4, the printed circuit board, the PCB, is a custom-etched board with electronics soldered to it. A capacitor collects the charge produced by the C-Pod. When hot water is poured into the tank, heat dissipated through the tank walls heats up the hot side of the TEG. Simultaneously, the cold side of the TEG is rapidly cooled by the large heat sinks. The temperature difference between the two sides of the TEG produces a DC voltage, achieving a state we called capturing heat and regenerating electricity, aka charge.
By connecting multiple TEGs in C-Pod cells in series, the voltage and current can be accumulated substantially to produce a continuous DC power source. Watch the multimeter. This model can produce over 5 volts, the equivalent of about 5 AA batteries. Pressing the push button will light up the LED showing continuous power generation. Imagine how much electricity can be produced if this is scaled up for household, industrial, and automotive applications.
During the R&D process, we learned about the Seebeck effect, TEGs, working with the electronics, experimentation, data collection, and documentation. We built a test apparatus and conducted experiments to understand and improve the efficiency of the TEG. We learned that cooling the cold side of the TEG is as important as capturing heat on the hot side. We applied these learnings to build our C-Pod model. Our C-Pod prototype cost $99 to build. This translates to 40 cents per square centimeter of TEG. If mass-produced, this cost can be reduced to under 20 cents per square centimeter, making it a staple product in every household and industrial application.
Our project was inspired by our research and discussions with our project advisor, Dr. Brian Neiswander, and our coach. We shared our solution with our family, friends, at our community library, at the town hall, with a number of industry experts, and with an entrepreneur who's interested in our project. Our charged solution in CPOD wasted heat harvester can help meet future power demands, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Remember, don't waste it. Charge it!
Very nice.
Oh, wow. You guys, that is amazing.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, so you go on to this competition this weekend. If you guys do well, is there like a next level of competition, or is this the wrapping up of this particular project in this season?
The Massachusetts level is already done. That was done last December.
Okay.
And so they finished third in that. This is the international level. This is the last of the competitions for this season. Starting August 1st, we rinse and repeat the next season.
Okay, gotcha.
We will get ready to do that again.
Yeah.
So I have one question. Do you do your own soldering? When you create it, are you soldering and you've
Yeah.
learned to do that yourself? And
Yeah, so-
you actually build this as well as do the research for it?
Yeah, so we went through a whole process to etch our PCB, and then after we etched it, we drilled holes and soldered our components to the PCB.
Wow.
That's very impressive for your age but very nice.
Actually, for any
Congratulations.
age.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say you
Congratulations,
guys
that
should
is
be going
very-
to college next year at this rate. So, this is pretty impressive.
We have
So,
one on the sustainability committee.
Yeah, well, I was
Yeah,
gonna
really.
Can you come back for town meeting, present the sustainability warrant article like that? That'd be-
Ganesh, is there if I remember correctly, there's a question period that
Yeah.
is part of the competition as well?
That's correct. So as a part of the competition, they get a half an hour slot where they're going to question this team for about 2-3 minutes on core values explicitly. How do they work as a team? How did they do different things? Who did what? Those types of questions. And then they actually have a presentation very similar to this for how they built the robot and the attachment and what's the strategy that they use to solve the mission board. There are 16 missions on that board, and this year they actually solved all 16 to score the maximum points on it. Wow. Now, whether it actually works on that target board we don't know that. We'll have to try it out. We get 5 chances to try it. But at the end of each presentation, they also get a 5-minute Q&A slot where they're going to question, how did you design that? What code did you write? And how did you write your code? What language did you use? And all sorts of things. Similarly, for the project, they get a 5-minute, 5-minute slot. They cut them off. That's why they are so rehearsed to present this
No,
in
that
5
makes
minutes.
sense.
And so at 5 minutes, they're done, and then they go into a Q&A session for that. And then they follow up with some more core values, and they wrap up that session. That's their judging. Every team, one of those 75 teams, will go through this with a small panel of 3 judges, and they score them and see who did best.
So each segment is scored separately?
Each segment is scored separately, but then they add up all the scores, and they also see how their robot performed against what they said it actually does. So each game is logged against the scores that they do and what scores they claim, and then if they perform well in that, they get recognized for that too.
Now, will the robot work without being on the board? So like,
it-
would it just move like?
It'll just move.
Okay.
We can show that if you want to see.
Yeah, that'd
the
be great.
robot move,
Can we
you
see
do
the-
that if you want to turn the robot
I'd love
on.
to see that.
I'd love to see the robot move.
You can see the,
We don't wanna-
actions
You can do it on the table.
on the
You
table.
can leave it on the table.
You have to turn it on though.
turned on. Yeah, the board actually comes with what they call as the mission models.
Okay.
Each mission is associated with the same theme for the year. So supercharged would be, okay, pull that lever, that means you're gonna spit out a electrical charge.
Okay.
And something will roll out of that, just like a, like a Lego box.
Yep.
Right, or it could be go push this lever and something else pops up on the other side. And so you start, your job is to build this robot, the team's job is to build a robot and the attachment that have arms and legs to this robot and give it the eyes and the brains to actually go do different things around the robot,
Oh, wow.
around the table.
Okay.
They have a corner on the
Yep.
table where they are allowed to touch that robot. Once it leaves the corner, they cannot touch the robot. So the only way they can touch the robot is if it comes back to that corner.
And do they change, so there's a number of different
Yeah.
extra pieces here. Do you have to change the appendages based on what the next task is that it has to do?
Answer the question.
Sure, please.
So we split up. So we're solving all the missions. We split it up into different runs,
Okay.
and each run has its own separate attachment. So as he just mentioned, you're not allowed to touch the robot outside of the home area, which is what we call it. Once it comes back, we have to make our changeovers as quickly as possible. We change the attachments
Okay.
so that they can solve different missions.
How many attachments do you have?
So we have 5 attachments, and then we have a jig here, which helps us align our robot, because we align it against a wall to make sure that it launches as straight as possible.
Okay.
And each game is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so we have to make sure that we do our changeovers with our attachments as fast as possible, so that our robot has as much time as it can on the actual board.
Wow.
What does the robot run on? Is it like a rechargeable battery, or is it?
So this is a brick. It contains all your runs and all your files in it. So that's where it connects to your laptop that actually has your code on it.
Okay.
So then that helps your robot run.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Should I
Yeah, just add the first run or something.
Yeah.
Make sure there's enough room on the table.
Make sure it doesn't come off the table.
Yeah, we don't want to
it to
ruin
come off the
anything
table.
on you.
Do it like
Yeah.
Center of the table.
that. We'll stop it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh wait, so that.
Further out, further back.
I can't see it. Okay, wait, I'm doing it. Okay.
So where are we going? This way?
This is so
Okay.
impressive. This is so
Now,
impressive.
you ladies have presented to us before, right? Like 2 years ago about the green energy and, yeah,
At the public safety building,
about
right?
the
We
public
were-
safety building, yeah.
So,
Was it 2 years ago?
I think so.
you guys,
Actually, this is our second team.
okay.
We've
your
actually
second
had
team,
another
okay.
team that was a mixed boys and girls team.
Okay.
That team went by the name
RoboWiz.
RoboWiz.
That's what
Okay.
it was. It
They
was
were all
RoboWiz.
blue team. You probably
Yes.
saw them several years ago. And that's the team that actually came and did
Okay.
the presentation on the, I think that season was
It's a green
City
roof.
Shaper, City Shaper
Yeah, and you
season.
talked about
And
the
they
green
created
roof
a
and,
tile, which is
Yeah.
walked on the tile.
Yes.
and generated.
Right.
created energy.
Nice, very nice.
Very cool. Yep.
I need to be ready to stop it.
Well, we'll make sure it doesn't.
So at that point, it's actually solving a problem there.
Okay.
And then now it's going to
Oh,
go and do some
cool.
cool movements, and it flips something, it does something, and then as a result of that, pieces are going to fall out of the mission, and when it
Okay.
falls, it's going to catch it in the tray.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
So how long
Very
have you girls been doing robotics?
So we've been doing robotics for the past like 3 years. This is our 3rd year. So
Wow.
this next season called Masterpiece is going to be our 4th. So.
Okay.
Very
Wow.
nice.
So there is nothing I like better than girls that love science. I think girls that love science are the coolest. So I am so impressed by all of this.
We actually, the two of us, she joined when we started a challenge season for kids that are.
We did the junior year.
Yeah, so for
Okay.
kids that are ages 9 to 14, I think. She joined us when we started that. But before that, we had done a junior season, and basically it's not as much as.
Right, not quite as intense.
Yeah, as for this, but it was still a good experience.
Awesome.
Very nice. Good.
I'm
So-
so impressed. This is crazy. I feel like I need to stand in the corner with a dunce hat. No, honestly, it's phenomenal. You young ladies have done a fantastic job, and I wish you well this coming weekend. Your event is this weekend, right?
Yeah, so this is really exciting, and
This is exciting.
I just want to ask you a couple of questions. So, do you have a budget that you have to work within for your project?
I
Or-
can answer that question. So when first releases this tournament, the season, they are releasing on the similar theme for various levels. So for the junior most, they have actually something called as a discovery level, which is basically building blocks. Really young kids can start putting together and build something that solves a very simple problem. And the next level is the junior level that they were talking about. They call it differently, not called Explorer. And they solve slightly more complex problem. This is the third level where you actually have a big board. It's a 7-foot by 4-foot board you go and solve. For these 3 levels, they do not set a budget. But you have to buy everything from Lego. You cannot use a rubber band that's not made by Lego. You will get disqualified. And we have been in situations where we've used mega blocks, which without knowing that they look very much like a
The Lego block.
Lego
but-
block, Duplo block, and they've called us out and they let us go. But they're very good at catching that. So they.
Can you reuse, so you've used Lego for all of these, next year when you go to the next competition, can you reuse some of these items as well?
All of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, next year we'll take apart the attachments that we've made because the board will be completely different. And we'll rebuild it so that it can solve those.
Okay.
And occasionally we'll rebuild our robot to make it better and make improvements. We have another board that we use for our robot presentation, and it shows the different robots that we had in previous years.
So I imagine, right, that's part of the learning experience, is really trying something and having it maybe not go exactly how you wanted it to go, and then reworking it. It's such a powerful way to learn, isn't it? And Lego their headquarters are coming to Boston, so perhaps you are the future engineers of Lego, I would imagine.
Speaking of, we're hiring an engineer.
So what do you guys like most? Do you like programming the robot, or building all the different things, or because I look at this,
The research.
the research and all that stuff that goes into it, and you have a whole board. So what is your favorite part of this whole process?
I think we all prefer the project side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like the research?
It's a means to an end,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. We all like different parts of both the robot and the project. Like with the project, I loved doing building the model and understanding how the electrical components worked.
Yeah, same. I like doing the initial research.
And then I like to test our project and make sure it worked. Like we just wanted to test our TEGs and make sure they actually generated enough voltage that we needed for our project.
So you work together as a team. You all have things that you like and prefer to do, and that comes together as a team. That's
Yeah,
great.
and then even though we had these own areas that we like to work in, we still were able to work together if we wanted to on a task, or we can help someone else if they were having trouble with something that they were doing.
That's great.
So I have one, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I have one question for all 3 of you. How long did it take for you to get all the parts to work the way you want them to? How many times did it take you to, like that unit right there, how many times did you have to rework that to get it the way you want it?
So we made a lot of iterations throughout the season. So even before the season began, we already knew what different movements we wanted, like moving straight, turning, basic movements. And so in the summer before the season, we had all of these core movements ready and tested, so that once the season started, we would just make some minor iterations on our attachments and improve our robot, and we would already have all the movements ready.
Very nice. That's awesome.
We actually,
Teenagers who
like I
can't use
said,
that
we have
word.
another board, and it has a whole table of. We tested every single run as many times as we possibly could, and we recorded how many times it worked, how many times it didn't, and we used this to help us iterate to make our attachments as good as we could.
Nice.
Very nice.
Very
You
nice.
did
And what a
good job.
terrific presentation you've done here
Yes,
tonight.
very
So
nice
I think you
presentation.
should feel confident when you're in the session where they're asking you questions that
Good
you'll be able to handle it quite well, I believe.
Yes.
I'm sure they won't ask this question for you over the weekend, but the burning question is, how did you get the name Goofy Gyros?
Oh, we love this.
No, so we thought of the name Goofy Gyros because we are all like the craziest people on the planet. And then we decided that we would have to incorporate something about that, because it was our personality. So then while we were testing our robot one day, our gyro sensor went completely off, and then it started like
You're one of those?
going like
It's a goofy
the
gyro.
robot.
Okay.
The robot
sensor?
started like
It's like the gyro sensor just kept going in circles.
like we, and then
Sounds familiar.
so we were like, oh my god, Goofy Gyros is the perfect name because it has a G and G. So like we just thought, okay, that's our team name now.
All right.
There you
That's
go.
very good.
Great.
That's
Nice.
wonderful. Well, thank you for presenting,
Yes.
and good luck this weekend.
Yes.
Please make sure you let us know how it goes
Thank you.
Yeah, you
afterwards.
should feel confident, though.
Yes.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
Really good presentation, really
Yes.
good.
Yep.
No matter what, you've done a fantastic
You've
job.
done a great, you've already accomplished a lot, so be,
Some of that credit needs to go to him. He's done this a lot.
Some of that crazy goes to Dick.
So you guys are amazing. I know that like as you guys get older and you learn more and grow, like, you know, our world's got lots of big problems to solve, and I feel very confident that with you guys there, things are gonna be in a good place. So congratulations for getting this far.
congratulations. And good luck this
Best of
weekend.
luck. And thank you all for
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Yeah,
Your
thanks for your
support.
support crew and
Yes.
everything.
Coach, you could probably run a few more teams, couldn't you?
You haven't seen how quickly I lost my hair, so
Oh, that goes on without saying.
it goes.
I had a question for you guys.
Sure.
Okay.
If you had to say that, we had to improve something, what would you say?
Improve something in what way? The life that we're living right now?
No,
I
no.
think in regards to your
For
presentation.
this,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything. You guys, for me, I think it's perfect the way it is. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
I think you need to use the word iteration a few more times. Is that- No, I'm just kidding about that. That's very.
So one recommendation is, and maybe this is already the case, will your board be up on a table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure.
So you'll be out in front of it.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about things, you already did it a little bit, but even a little bit beforehand, rather than pointing to it as you're talking to about it, point to it and then start talking about it. Because then as the viewer, they can see and they get the visual before you start talking about it. That would be my one recommendation.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe use a pointer too to make it a little easier, so they're not blocking the view of the,
Maybe, but I just think if you point at it and then start talking about it, that way their eyes are already there.
Yeah. Yep.
But
it
very
was
nice.
and a good like division between the three of you guys all
Yes.
speaking
Excellent, yeah.
and doing the demonstration with the water was great too. So
Will you need a microphone system? to
No,
work?
there's a
so
very
that's-
specific setup that they have for
Yeah.
all of this, and there will be exactly 3 people in the front and a
Yeah, so they're
table that is
great
6
shape for
foot
that.
long.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the exact same setup, and they're only 2 feet away from all of the
And
posts.
they use the
Right.
microphone very well. I mean, they
So one
adapted to
other-
it quickly.
One other bit of feedback is remind people to look at your meter
Yes,
before you
good
start
point.
pouring the water or as you start pouring the water.
Watch the meter.
Because I caught it before you said anything. So it would be good to say, please watch the meter to understand how this works to generate
I didn't
energy.
even think to look at it until you mentioned it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And also I have a light shining
They
on
might
it
have a
too.
sharper audience.
It's possible.
I mean, it still has energy going, so that's cool.
that is
Yeah.
very cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, the scientists will be looking at it anyway, yeah, right.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments, questions? Anything,
Fantastic.
Michael?
Just-
Jen?
I'm just really proud of you,
Very impressed.
And,
Very impressed.
just the work that you do, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are here at the library 2, sometimes 3 times a year, presenting all the projects that we have done, the team has done over the years,
Okay.
just to help other teams, get going. We've had several people stop by and, ask how to start a team and whatnot. If you have anyone that expresses interest, just send them my way.
Okay,
And
great.
we'll help them get started.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's
Great.
totally awesome.
Good.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you, guys.
thank you.
This was a great presentation.
Thank you for
Thank you very
coming.
much. Thank you for all the time and help.
All right. Make sure you put everything
Yes,
away in a
take
very
everything.
careful way so you don't
That's the
you don't have any.
help you, that's
Do
all.
you need some help?
I think we should.
Oh,
be
you have your phone?
fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, can we take a few minutes while they?
Sure. Let's Paul, we'll take like a 3-minute break or so and just let everybody kind of.
Oh no! Wait. No.
So I can tell you've done presentations. I mean, it's good
Well,
advice.
I watched my girls go through public speaking,
Yeah.
when they went to the academy, when they went to the dance academy, and they had to create a board and present. And oh yeah, let's do a picture.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, we should move this out of the way.
You make the little people. I don't want to see anything fly.
It'll be fine, it'll be fine. We'll do it outside after we take the picture. Oh, right. Wait.
It's a commitment. It is definitely a commitment.
Different routes
Two different decades.
Oh, there's no idea. No, maybe you do.
We're all set, Paul?
I was lost in thought.
Okay.
I didn't hear the chit chat.
So we're back. So we're back live.
Oh, back.
Thank you all for letting us take a few minutes. So we had the Goofy Gyros, which was a great, really. I mean, I love stuff. I mean, to be able to see them create and present to us, and it was that's the good stuff. So.
Well, and what I really enjoyed was they actually built something that could be utilized to recover. They have an entrepreneur interested in there, and I mean, I think about it in my own home, right? We have now these sensor that tells us how much energy we're using, and how much of that is just being lost. And if it can be recuperated and regenerated, it's a great thing.
I'd love to see these folks on Shark Tank.
So we're moving on in our agenda. Our next scheduled appearance is Paul Gustafson with an update on 433 Chestnut Street, also known as the Hall House, to discuss sort of an update on the project, the kiosk, the donation. It's been probably more than a few months since you've been here with us. So just to refresh everyone's memory as to the start of this project. So Mr. Gustafson had purchased the Hall House from the town for $10,000 in exchange for a preservation restriction on the property. This house has a lot of historical significance because it is where Henry Warren tinkered in the basement on the electric clocks. So I know all of us have probably driven by 433 Chestnut and seen I haven't been by in a little bit, but the evolution of the property. We've been in contact with Mr. Gustafson as he's been going through this process, and so I know that the plan is to sell the property. So we wanted to make sure that we kind of got an update from you and saw what was happening with it, and kind of maybe tying up some loose ends from our perspective. So I will turn it over to Paul. Thank you for coming back.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. Thank you. So the house is coming along really well. It's been a long journey since we started late last August. So I'm going to run you through some slides that will show the status of what's going on, where we are with construction, and sort of in the final stretch of that, and then some pretty cool before and after photos. So I'm going to go through, and hopefully nothing will go crazy here. So on my screen, I got a thing in the way, so hang on. I can't move that. All right, so here are some views, all four sides of the house. The exterior is complete. The lawn is in. It's growing in. Driveway is in. There's a few miscellaneous things, touch-ups and all that, but for all intents and purposes, you can see some walls were reconstructed. Primarily retaining walls that retain the front yard of the house. This is on one side, and then this is on the, on the west side, and this would be on the east side of the house.
Are shutters going to be added, like in the original?
Yeah, those are one of those loose ends.
Okay.
So on the front of the home, we'll add the black shutters back on there. Yep. Some more pictures. This is the basement. It's a little walkway getting to that walkout basement area, some flowers. It shows more of that wall, farmer's porch. Just wanted to remind everyone that we did salvage these interesting corbels or brackets that hold up the little roof over the front door. These are positioned right here on either side of the door. So those are stripped down and they're now repainted. They look pretty sharp. The interior is coming along pretty well. All the systems have been installed. In fact, we've got AC working today because we had the hardwood floor delivered. We want to acclimate that. So in order to get rid of humidity, the AC was turned on. Still some final plumbing fixtures to be installed, but for the most part, it's done. Finished carpentry is almost done, just finalizing some of the kitchen and some of the finish work for the stair railings and balusters. I mentioned hardwood flooring is going to go in next week. The painting is done on the inside, and we hope everything be wrapped up by the end of the month. So that's the plan. I've been saying the end of the month for the last 3 months. Just some views of the inside. This is overlooking the field. This is where we try to replicate a lot of the windows that used to be part of that sort of that flat roof, three-season porch that existed there previously. This is looking out the front of the house, the front door.
Wow.
This is one big open space. This picture was taken where the old porch used to be that was added on to the Hall Yeager house, probably back in the 40s or 50s. We got some wood beams or wood posts that protrude out of the sheetrock in a number of different locations. Here at this sort of entranceway from the back half of the house into the front half of the house, you see these in the corner. We'll look at these again later on another slide. Shows the stairs. Again, the railings aren't on the stairs yet, but you can see some of the posts that were reclaimed and left in the house. Some more, I guess these are the bathrooms. There was a bathroom in the basement. This is what it is now. There's a bathroom on the second floor. There's now 2. So it gives you an idea there. This is, so it's kind of the old farmhouse look. So, they call it modern farmhouse nowadays. So obviously to keep with that aesthetic, keep the house authentic to its past. We've got some tile here. It's that sort of distressed wood-looking tile that was used. That was done here. In the basement, there'll be sort of this old lumber-looking vinyl plank flooring that's going to be put down that will go in here. Since you can't put wood over concrete, you have to use vinyl plank. So that's the plan there. Kind of a funky design here for the upstairs bathroom with sort of a floral pattern, sort of big with the farmhouse look these days. A couple different rooms. This is looking into the kitchen. You can see the cabinets are installed. This little block right here is just to protect the electrical. There will be like an island. This is all the cabinets that will go here once the hardwood floor is installed. So that's pretty much where the old kitchen used to be. And there was a wall here, and then to the left was where that, again, that flat roofed porch that was pretty rotted was used to be located with the windows overlooking the field. So that's the view of the kitchen. This is down the basement. You see that vinyl plank flooring going in, the double doors going out to the facing the field. So that's the story there. Just want to talk about more about some of the lumber that was salvaged. These are some of the beams. We're reusing those on the inside of the house. You saw those in some of the pictures. We put them back in and let them stick out. There's posts inside the sheetrock, but we wanted to add others that would protrude out of the sheetrock. So we used some of these that were reclaimed from the construction. I've got a lot of planks I'm going to use in the upstairs mudroom. So just wanted to revisit that a little bit to remind us about what's going on with that. Shows some of those posts being placed, in the various corners of the original part of the house. And it's not done yet, but on the entranceway from the farmer's porch into the first level of the home, there's a little mudroom area. So this is some pictures that will resemble what's going to happen there with some old the planking put on the walls, so like wainscoting, a bench, place to hang stuff, so sort of along these lines. That'll be built in that little mudroom entrance. Farmer's porch, sort of a before and an after. This beam right here was the original carry beam. The whole thing was really rotted and bad. So we had, as we talked about many months ago, this was removed, redone, replicated, and just to kind of keep with the old, we're going to put the beam back up and sister it along here on the inside. So when you walk out or you walk along this porch, you look up, you see that big beam. It's probably 5 inches by 6 inches with some really neat little pegs in it still. So we'll put that up in here, and there'll be, previous porch had like a V-groove planking along the ceiling, so that's going to be replicated as well. Just to revisit this, the old front door is kept, and I'm going to reuse it as sort of a sliding door going from the main part of the house into that mudroom. So you really have a lot of the old house there with the door. You walk through the door to the mudroom, you got all the old planking and things there, and then you walk out to the farmer's porch where you have that large beam. So this will be stripped down. This is a picture of it was when it was reclaimed, and now it's being stripped and restored.
Okay, so that's not the actual picture of?
No, that's just.
That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I had shown these before.
So just say, yeah, those windows don't match, that
Yeah.
can't be the same door.
Nope, this is something I
Okay.
found online, just to kind of convey what the plan was. Yeah, so this guy will be, although this, whoops, oh geez, what just happened? Oh, okay. So that's what's going on with that door. And you can see the door here on the original. So I'm just going to show some before and afters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of exciting at this point to remember back to what it was. It was really rough shape, as I remember. This is actually a lot of the brush cut down around it, so you can actually see what's going on just before we started work on it. So that's the old. This is the new. The shutters will go on. The door will be painted black to match the shutters. We kept the little granite slab right here. That is actually up here now. We had to raise it up with some steps. So that's the story on that. So we try to reuse some of the old cobblestone and granite blocking that was part of the entranceway. This is the east side of the house. So there's a rock wall here that's pretty crumbly, covered with vines. That was all rebuilt. That's the basement. And that's what we have now for that side of the house.
So the dormer is gone, is that?
Yeah, so the plan all along was to make the dormer extend all the way across the house. So both on the east and west side of the house, the dormer goes all the way across. It doesn't go all the way to peak. We kept with this is an interesting look where the dormer goes basically 2/3 the way or 3/4 of the way up the roof. You can't really see it here, but it does do that here. But the dormer goes from front to back of the house. So this is the old back of the house. Now I've got 2 garage doors here. This little porch became, this area here, which is sort of a giant, great room off the kitchen, which is this window here. And then
Will
these
that be
2
used like
windows.
a patio, Paul?
Excuse me?
Will that be used like a patio?
What's that now? The
Yeah.
up above? Yeah, it's like a little balcony. It's not all that. It's only a few feet wide, about 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide. So it's like a little deck with stairs going up to that door, which again goes into the kitchen. West side of the house, the driveway side. Those are the 2 doors going down to that basement. You saw that before. The walls, farmer's porch. This this area here is now here. Instead of being a flat roof, the original drawings that we submitted as part of our proposal showed a sloping roof. And that dormer, we joined these 2 dormers together and extended, from the front to the back of the house.
Is that a fireplace?
Correct. Just some more from this angle. Excited about how the walls came out.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did a great job, whoever did the wall work, beautiful.
It wasn't me. But thank you. Okay, so, sorry to kind of transition abruptly into this, but those before and afters, you know, a lot of work, a lot of time. It's a huge transformation. Kind of excited about it. The barn, we didn't talk about the barn yet, but the painters are coming. They've been kind of putting me off due to weather, this and everything else. But they promised me next week we're gonna paint the barn. I had to double check a bunch of times with the Warren Center and the management there just to make sure they were still on board with that happening, because it will be, you know, obviously on their property and they need to be involved. So that's going to happen. So when the barn is done, you know, that'll really make that whole area look a lot more appealing. So I'm going to talk about the kiosk. So the house,
Does
before and
anybody have
after.
any questions about the house?
All I would ask is that when it's done, if you let us know, because I'd love to go see the inside from, you know, from these pictures. It looks like you did a nice job.
Yeah, no, I definitely
good to see it.
Want to do that. You know, we talked a while ago about having some sort of like an open house or whatever.
Yeah, for the community. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm still hoping to do that.
Okay, good.
Has Doug Scott seen the property recently? I don't know. I know he was involved a lot on the front end, but I don't know if he's.
I don't know when the last time he's gone by. Have you needed any?
I mean, he comes in for the inspections.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he came in for the rough plumbing, heating, and electrical. Well, no, he came, not the electrical, or plumbing, but he came in for the framing, and then the rough for the heating system.
Okay.
Yeah, and he'll be back in when everything's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So, anything else?
Nope.
I think we're good.
The kiosk.
All right, kiosk. So 2 months ago, I met with the historical committee, and they provided to me this concept of what they wanted to include for content on a sign. And what I don't know whether you guys have communicated or heard, but what they were now proposing, or what they had actually voted on, was instead of doing a kiosk, which is more of a horizontal, is they actually want to do a sign up and down, similar to what we have over at Mill Pond. And they wanted to kind of use the same sort of look, shape anyways, with the seal at the top.
Well, that's new.
A blue background for Ashland, and try to incorporate all this onto that sign, which is a bit of a challenge.
So it's not a kiosk anymore, Paul? It's a sign?
They want, you know, you drive down the highway, or not highway, but say you go down Route 16, and it's like George Washington visited here, you know, and that's sort of like a historical marker.
And that's what they wanted to do?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because we have kiosks at Warren Woods.
Well, and that's what it was supposed to be.
And that's what, because Joan from the Historical Commission.
So Joan is on, so maybe we.
There she is, yeah.
Great.
So
There she is.
Joan, we see you. Do you want to chime in?
Yes, Paul is correct, that we did have discussion at the commission. The reasoning behind putting a more stand-up sign rather than the flat kiosk, I mean, I guess from my perspective, I didn't realize that kiosk meant that it had to be flat. If that's the case, we can revisit that. But the reasoning was that as people drive down the road, they can actually see it. And when you go to the kiosk at the Warren Center, that's fine because you're on a walking tour. And you can walk up to it and you can stand over it and look at it and read it. But in this particular location, people are going to be driving by or walking by. They're not going to be walking into their property and standing on the, you know, and looking down at the sign. That was kind of our reasoning.
Yeah.
But that can be revisited. I mean, we're not there yet. The one thing I did want to mention, Paul, that the background is supposed to be black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And with the gold, where the white is, the gold would be gold.
Okay.
So you're saying the sign would be black, not the Ashland blue?
Yes, there are other signs in the town that are black. The reasoning being that it would pull out the colors in the kiosk. But it can be, again, these were the Historic Commission, considerations, but it's definitely, definitely take input from the select board on what they would like to see. This was, there's been a lot of back and forth, of course, so you kind of forget some of it, but but we could certainly revisit that if the select board's, it's the select board's final decision. So if that's what you want, that, certainly.
Probably not discussion tonight, but I think,
We
should discuss it.
Because I think all of us, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we were thinking something very similar to what is currently at Warren Woods.
Yeah, but.
More of a.
Well, I wasn't thinking flat, because to Joan's point.
Angled.
But
Yeah.
to the point that, if you're driving by, if it's flat, you're not gonna see it. I thought it would be similar to the kiosks, but it would be standing up.
You don't, especially on a roadway, you don't want like a
Right.
sign that has
People
something
think
like
that rides
that.
off the road.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want them to.
So
want it set back.
I think we need to discuss, but probably not tonight.
Yep, and part of will people be able to walk there and walk by easily? If the answer is no, and I don't think there's a sidewalk or
There's no
anything there.
sidewalk.
There's no sidewalks.
So then you are, unless we do something a little differently, like people can walk by or something, we're looking at a situation where people are driving by.
Well, hopefully one day we will have sidewalks.
Yeah, well, so maybe we should plan for that too,
So Carl Atkinson also sent me some information, and I went up to the, and I can't, I think
It's
it's
the ledges, Joan.
Is it the ledges? Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about Robert Hill Way?
Yes, yeah, the sign that's at the, it's at the pollination area.
Mm-hmm.
That sign is made out of material that is more practical, especially for a location like this where it's going to get salt, et cetera, from the roads. It's going to look like wood, but it's going to be,
Where is this?
Remember.
It's, so you know the road that goes off of Independence and leads to Robert Hill Way? Or
Yeah.
is Robert Hill Way?
Yep.
So there's a section off that that's kind of like a wetland pollinator garden, and the
Okay.
Conservation Commission, as part of their order of conditions, required kind of like an educational signage there. It's nice.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to look at a few different
Yeah,
in
let's look at some
places in
options
town,
and then.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that material is, I believe it's I believe it's a coated aluminum material, which can be, the sign can be embedded in the material so that it doesn't, it won't rot. Even the kiosk signs, in all honesty, at the Warren Woods definitely need some maintenance. And the ones certainly at the high school I looked at, that they sent me to look at too, for ideas. Those also, the wood frames are, they
Needing repairs.
they need constant updating and maintenance. So this hopefully will minimize that. I mean, nothing I'm sure will negate everything, but that's kind of what the thought process.
Okay. All right, well, that gives us a lot to think about and places for us to look, because I think we need to take a look at some of these options and see. So, Michael, do we have like a timeline that we have to make a decision by?
Well, I mean, I think the board wanted to have everything in place that, all the obligations taken care of
Yeah.
before an occupancy permit was issued. So
Okay.
it kind of
Yeah,
jives with Paul's
I'm going
timing
full
from-
steam ahead, so, we've got to decide here in the next
Okay.
3 weeks.
Okay.
So how about we'll put
'cause
it
I'm
on
gonna
our
put
next
something-
Agenda. Yep.
Yeah, and it's gonna go, so the third picture there on the right, and thank you for that input, by the way. I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. Joan, thank you. So the,
Make one more comment, Paul?
oh,
before
yeah, please.
Okay, so I don't forget. I'm getting old. Forget these things.
Yeah.
But so the other part of the sign. So the way you see it standing up like that, is the sign is going to be wider wider than taller. So it's going to be like a kiosk standing up, if you will. It may require two posts. I'm not sure. But it's not going to be tall and thin like the picture that we used. We used that picture as the idea for a frameless sign, just to give the idea with the Ashland logo at the top. That was just for an example of the type of sign that can be used. But it would still be a kiosk shape, if you will. In other words, it'll be, I think what we had, I gave you dimensions, Paul. I
remember you saying 3 feet by 2 feet, I believe.
Yes, I believe that's the case, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely need
that.
2 posts because, I think if it's wider than taller, you get wind factors,
Sure.
the thing will blow and twist.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. And then, Joan, I think we also talked in that meeting about locations, and we discussed putting it here. So this is a mock-up. So this is heading towards Holliston. Here's the house up here. This is the corner of the yard. Placing it here so it's visible to
As you
people
head
walking
toward the
by,
house, yeah.
and as you head towards the house, it's like, oh, there's something here, and then as you drive by, you realize it's the house.
That makes sense.
So it's by the tree line then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my only question is, and I don't disagree that that's probably a good kind of philosophy, like where to put it, except that it's so close to the road, and if people are going to be reading it, I just don't want there to be a safety issue. Like, am I?
No, that's why we were saying that type of sign, like that
Yeah.
vertical sign would probably not
Yeah.
work
You
the
could
best
use it for
because,
the
Yeah.
safety of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put it further into the trees. I mean, we can prune out. So half that lot is grass, and then from the fire hydrant towards us, it gets wooded.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
still
think
my property. So,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think my recollection was that the Historical Commission discussed putting it, and with your input at the time, was putting it by the driveway. And I know you wanted to put it on the Framingham State side, and the Historical Commission felt very strongly that it needs to be on the Hall House property, so that it can be part of the deed. So that was so that it would be closer to the house. I think the location that you're showing is, I understand the idea of going by and being able to see it before you see the house, and I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but it's pretty far away from the house.
Yeah.
It was on the property.
So my driveway is at the corner of the property line. So there's no room at that other corner to place the sign. I'm just gonna go back, try to find a picture here that might work. Darn.
I think you're saying the same thing, right? That it can't be on the driveway side, it has to be on the other side. So as we're looking at that picture now, to the right of the house, I think the conversation is where does it make sense to put it, so that it's not lost in the trees, but so maybe it's not right on the grass. And if at some point we put sidewalks in, do we want to make sure it's not in the way? But I think where you're showing it is, it'll be around there someplace.
That's where I prefer to put it. I think I heard Joan say that they were thinking more on the opposite
yeah.
side of my lot, abutting the Warren Center. Is that right,
No.
Joan?
Yes, yeah, that was what we had discussed at the meeting, yes.
Yeah.
To the right of the driveway. Oh.
To the,
To
I'm
the-
sorry,
to
to
the
the
left
left
of
of
the
the
house.
driveway.
To the left of the house, to the right of the driveway.
Correct, yes, that was the location that was discussed at the time.
I mean, far left of the house, it's gonna be on.
Paul, is that location on the property of the house?
Yes, so I'm not sure how far in
But that's
town
your
owns, but
proposal.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, by putting it there, it's now town property. I assume the town's gonna maintain it, so, it might be,
It's
so that's
hard
on the right.
it's hard to make a decision looking at pictures like this. I think
Yeah.
we need to,
Have like almost a map
yeah,
and be able to see where the property lines are.
and a field trip.
Yeah, I think we do need to do it.
Okay.
So one thing, and this is kind of I think maybe a wild idea, but because there does seem to be there's a lot of information up there, right?
Yeah.
That, how do people see that? How do people read that? I mean, either you need someplace to pull off the road and stop and read it, or it doesn't make sense to put that information. So what I'm thinking, and Joan, this is kind of, again, it's just a crazy
Brainstorming.
idea, But what if we just, if you just had maybe his picture, where time begins, but a couple of pictures, and I think the where time began, I think is kind of a catchy, way to get people's attention. And then you put something, okay, like I said, this is now moving it to this century, but like a QR code where somebody could now scan it with their phone and really go to a page and get all this information. Because otherwise, is it really realistic to put that amount of information that is, there's almost no way to ever see it, because there's no sidewalk, so you're not walking there.
Yeah, Claudia, we'd actually talked about QR codes, because that's something that Joan and Helen had brought up.
Okay.
The problem with QR codes is that you have to maintain a static location where all of the information is, and that's really hard for us to do.
Yeah.
We actually have a new member of the Historic Commission, Denise, who actually has a lot of knowledge. She's a software person, and she is willing to create the database for us. So we're hoping that that can be the case, and we can put some kind of, create a QR code, if not before the sign goes up, something that we can add to the corner of the sign that people can.
But you still have to stop, though, to use the QR code.
Yeah.
It's not
So
like,
it needs to be either off of a walking path
Yeah.
or, somewhere where
same
it's
issue.
accessible.
how about can we fit a pull-off area there somewhere? That people just pull off and read the sign, like
Well,
historical marker?
It would really be in Paul's property, I mean.
So I got pulled up the Google view here. So this drive, I don't know if you can see my cursor. So this driveway is to the barn. That's owned by Warren Center.
Right.
This is Warren Center property. My property line with Warren Center is the stone wall. In fact, there's a marker like right at the corner of the driveway.
Okay.
So putting a sign here is possible, but it's not going to be on 433 Chestnut. It's going to be on Warren Street's
Right,
property.
I don't think
Or
I don't
it could
think we
be
should ask
considered
them.
town property, depending on how far, I think they own 5 feet in from
It's
the
5
road.
feet in, yep.
So it could potentially go there and be on town property, or up, up by this telephone pole, so it's more in front of the house.
I just worry about
But there's no room to put it
Well,
on this property.
this is my own personal, this is not historical commission, this is my own personal thought. But had you ever considered purchasing that triangle of land there that goes between those two driveways?
No,
They need that area for the back.
I have not considered
I'm
buying
not
that
sure
triangle
Framingham
of
State
land.
would be willing to sell it either.
Probably not at this point.
So, again, here's that fire hydrant again, here's a view looking from the other direction. This area here could be cleared out a little bit of vegetation. There's a rock right here, maybe there's a nice little place right there where the kiosk could be set. You're not gonna see it from the road, but again, I don't think anyone's really gonna read it from the road anyways, but it'd be more of a pedestrian kind of thing, and we could set it in a bit.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Would it make sense for maybe a member of the select board and Paul and a member of the historical commission to kind of get together and find a location for this?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
I'm agreeable with that. I'm available if anybody wants to, I know you folks have work. Every day's a Friday for me, so.
Wow.
Friday's a work day.
Anyway, just a thought, so you
No,
get
I
some-
think that's
No,
a good,
that's a great-
I think that's a good
great
thought. I
idea.
mean, I was gonna say, is there any place between the barn and the house, someplace where it's off? Because I'm kind of at this, I don't really want it close to the road, because
What
I
if
think it's
on
gonna
the
be
road,
safe.
there was a
It's
sign it's more of a sign of
Simple.
demarcation.
Say Hall House.
And then there was someplace else
There was the
Yes.
kiosk.
where
that
there
had
was a
information.
kiosk about it.
Where you could pull over somewhere.
Yeah.
Because
I
just-
mean, it
think
probably can't be
safety-
between the barn and the house, because people aren't gonna want other people on their property,
Right,
right?
I know.
It's gonna be privately owned.
Maybe somewhere.
But
like
maybe
that.
on the Warren
Yeah.
property,
Something to talk to.
could
both.
work with the,
We did go around, we did toss around the idea of putting a kiosk at the, where the other kiosks are. The problem is you can't even see the house from there, at least not in the, once the green is up.
No, you wouldn't.
So
No, it's gotta be around there somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing to remember is that at some point, in the future, we're talking about creating a Warren district. So this information maybe isn't gonna be right in front of the house, but if it's somewhere, you know, if you're at 433 Chestnut Street and there's a kiosk there that tells you about the, so I like Claudia's point of making maybe just a simple sign that says
What it is.
home of Henry, you know, the Henry
Yeah.
Warren home, and just real basic information that is the, you know, the Ashland blue sign that, or whatever sign we pick, so that as you're driving by, you understand the significance of the home.
Right. That's all we can do if you're driving by.
Right.
You've got to keep
Right,
it
'cause
simple.
unless you can walk by it to have a lot of information, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Joe and Helen volunteered
Yeah.
Sounds
good.
like Joe and Helen.
volunteered to be the.
No,
You're coming.
Joan.
Joan.
Joan and Joe.
I'm sorry, Joan and Joe.
Joan and Joe, yeah.
All right, let's,
Thanks, Joe.
Joe, Joan, and Paul.
you want to come by tomorrow, Joe and Joan?
Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is not a good
Tomorrow's a big day for
Oh,
Joe.
that's the big day.
Yeah, tomorrow's not,
Tomorrow's a
yeah.
big day. Public safety.
Probably
building
next
grand
week.
opening.
Next week.
We're
Or how about-
We're letting the new tenants in.
Well, I think everybody has everybody's,
Yeah.
what I can do is I can send an email to everybody so
There
you
you
can
go.
have each
Great.
other's email address
Very
Okay.
good.
and set up a
Great.
time.
So the plan will be to have a recommendation and for our next meeting.
Yes.
So we can get this finalized and, like, because we don't want to keep this
Right.
kind of out.
Yeah, that's
going.
in 2 weeks.
So we will, in 2 weeks.
The
yeah.
21st.
The 21st.
Yeah.
So we'll have a final recommendation and a placement and what the sign is going to look like. And so,
Cool.
thank you to Joe and Joan for
Offering.
Can I
Volunteering.
just ask, am I hearing the recommendation of the select board is to change the sign then?
Potentially.
So I guess part of it depends on where it's going to be.
Yep.
Because I know my concern is to have a sign with a lot of verbiage that people are going to need to pull over and read very close to the road is a non-starter for me, because I just don't want it to be a safety issue. So I would say if we can find a location that is a good spot where people can read it, we can absolutely go with more information. If we can't and we need a smaller sign that just kind of directs people to what this location is, then I think we kind of go with a little bit of a pared down version that people can read as they're driving by.
But then you could also have a sign with more information
Right.
or,
Yeah.
you know, right nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, Joan and Helen especially have worked really hard on like coming up with the design and the
Yeah.
information and everything. I'd hate to lose that work.
Well, no, I think the kiosk I think it's good. It's just,
figure out
where
where
is
to
it, where is the best
Best place.
location that people can actually read it and appreciate it and understand
What the hell?
Yeah.
what it is? Yeah.
Could we, I just had a thought, I know you want to move on, but just quickly, could we go back to the picture with the fire hydrant?
The street view?
Yes, please.
Yep. There it is.
And there's no way to put a pull-out there, is that true? There's no way we could have,
That's
Like a
what,
pull-off area?
Like a pull into
That would be
into
the
it.
thing
and-
to explore. I
right
think.
behind the fire hydrant there, if they could put just a small turn, small pull-off.
Yeah, I'm not building a second driveway. I mean, there's all kinds of,
Well, it wouldn't be a driveway, it would
Yeah.
just be, it could be gravel, it doesn't have to be paved or anything like that, it's almost,
I
it's
don't know,
almost.
that's
I
that's
think-
a very busy
yeah,
street,
Yeah.
and to add,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, I mean, it's a,
It's just a thought.
No,
Yeah.
we appreciate it. I think that's like adding a whole nother scope of this.
Yeah.
I think that,
I think we just want a sign and
Yeah.
go from there.
yeah, so, okay. All right, is there any other questions or? Things?
Something about a donation?
Yes, so that's the, sort of like the last.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is for Stacy Spy's work with the historical zone for downtown Ashland. And I'm looking at Joan. And is that well, I guess Michael too, we talked about that, right? That's to go towards her fee or whatever, her work towards doing that, okay? So, yeah, so I guess I'm, like I told you, I'm willing to pay for that. heard varying numbers for what it's gonna cost. But the minutes tell me it's around $5,000. Is that right, Joan?
I honestly don't have that number. Jim is the one who worked
Okay.
with Stacy Spies.
Okay.
Oh, Jim
Is
Nielsen.
that, is that
Jim
been
Nielsen-
paid? Because if I'll pay it now if there's an amount that has been paid to her. And I'm not sure what the status is of her work. Has it been completed yet or gonna be soon?
It has not been completed as far as I know, but again, Jim is the chairman, and he's the one who has negotiated with her and
Okay.
discussed with her, so I'm not here for that.
Okay.
So, sorry, but.
That's okay.
I don't have Information, yeah.
So, Michael, do you know if, it was the plan that we were going to, I assume there's a quote somewhere, there's potentially, so what, do we
Should
know what
be.
the scope of this is gonna be?
I have not seen a scope.
Okay. So we don't know what, do you, like,
I mean, I have an idea,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen a written
Okay, so
scope.
we can't finalize the donation discussion until we know what that is. And I would think that the idea is that we'll have a quote for this project. We'd receive the money to pay for it.
Yeah,
and
let me
then
just
do-
make sure I don't have that.
Okay.
For sure.
because I agree, I think we need sort of a proposal from Stacy Spies.
Yeah.
And what that cost and what the scope of that's gonna look like,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just reading through the minutes from the historical committee, from when I read back in the beginning of the year, they did receive a quote from her, or a proposal for work that she would do. It was around $5,000. And then there was some ancillary money beyond that, if she had to attend meetings and other additional things to discuss the historical district with the town, or whatever her time would be billed then too as well, so.
Okay, so Michael, Joan, whoever, can we get a copy of that for our next meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
Put it on for the next meeting.
Yep.
I'm gonna follow up with Jim.
I know
on-
you were hoping you didn't have to come back to another one, but.
You can.
Oh, hold
you
on.
can-
It's fine. I like
Hold
coming
on.
here and chatting with you guys.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I did have the scope, I apologize.
That's okay.
So it is $5,500 for this piece, but Joan, I think one of the things we need to check with Jim is to see if this includes the whole
Right.
work, or if this was like a phase.
Okay, so,
So I will double check on
okay,
that
double
one.
check, and we should have that for our next meeting.
And this is the kiosk?
No, this
No.
is like the historical
This is-
registry? Is it a registry?
Historical
Yeah,
district.
it's actually work on the downtown, like a
Historic-
local historic district.
Okay.
So that
Oh,
included
okay, a
an
whole
inventory and a survey of different properties
Oh, I
and
see.
and
So
boundary
it's a whole
lines.
different scope.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
project that
All right,
he's donating to help us do.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
All right, I kind of, now I remember that.
So,
You better tell me quick, because the coffers are running dry on this
Yeah.
project.
Well, look, I mean, I think originally when we talked about this, we were talking about a donation from $10,000 to $20,000. Now, it's not my decision, it's the board's decision, but if you want to stick with the 5,500.
No, I think we need to
understand.
see what the quote is, and we need to understand that, and then have a discussion.
and then literally just, so, if there is if this is part of it, if this is the whole thing, we need to basically vote and let Paul, write his check, and then, we need to close it out.
Right, I agree.
So if
I'll bring
it's
my
more
checkbook
than
in
that
2 weeks.
I mean,
5,500.
I do remember
See what it is, yeah.
more of a discussion of about a
We did.
donation to the town of about
No,
10.
But we
no,
also,
no,
we
it
also
is-
talked about it,
yeah, that's not what
having,
it was.
being for a very specific reason and a purpose,
Was
and that
specific
was gonna
reason to pay for the historical district work that Stacy Spies was doing. It's not a blank amount of money to be used for whatever, it's for a specific thing.
No, I understand that, but, okay.
But Paul, you bought the property for $10,000, okay? And that was part of, everybody understood that the property would not be sold for a lot of money because there was a lot of money that needed to go into it to make it what we wanted it to be.
A lot of money has
So,
gone into it.
I
Hundreds
understand
of
that.
thousands of dollars.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. But, I don't think people asking to put a kiosk on your property, yes, it's going to have an impact on the people that live there, but that should probably be reflected in the purchase price, which is reflected in your purchase price. And the same thing for the donation. I don't think it's very much to ask. Considering
I'm
all the circumstances.
I'm not disagreeing with it. I gladly agreed to pay for the work that was being done to survey the historical district, and that's what I'm gonna do. You
We
guys
just
don't
need
have
to
a
tie
number
it up.
yet.
We just need to get it tied up.
Yeah.
So
You-
I think having all the information and just literally being able to finalize it, I think is the point that we're at.
That'd be great.
So, does anyone else have any questions, comments?
Not at this time.
So what we'll do, like, we'll get this, so at the next meeting, we will, Joe and Joan and Paul will go scope out the location for a kiosk, come back with a final recommendation as to location and how it's
What it's
gonna
gonna
look
look like.
like. We'll get that finalized. We'll have the quote, the final quote, we'll close that out on the donation for the Historical Society, the Historical Commission's Historic District.
We'll get it figured out.
So
Yeah.
we'll get
We'll be
that,
good.
we'll get that squared away. So
Great.
the 21st is our next meeting,
Yep.
and so we'll,
Okay.
that will be the plan. And
Okay.
so if you want, like, you won't need to present, if you want to just come and zoom in, just to listen and hear, you know. Or you can come and hang out with us.
I want to get a check in the box, so, yeah, I
So, but,
want to get these two things, completed and wrapped up,
Sure.
so.
Okay.
So Joe and Joan will figure out a time for next week, hopefully early next week, to come do a visit. I'll give you a tour, and we'll walk around the grounds, and we'll figure out where it's going to go.
Works for me.
sounds good.
Okay, great.
Sound good?
You all should have an email just connecting you all together,
Okay.
so.
Awesome.
All right, great, sounds good. All right, so Paul, the house looks great.
Thank
So
you.
Really
Thank you
does.
for all the work that
Thanks.
you've
It
done on
does.
this. It really looks beautiful.
Thank you.
So I need to now, I don't go up Chestnut all that often. It's
Have a
not,
drive-by.
so I need to, this weekend will be my, go check out the
Yeah.
Hall House.
Do you have a
weekend.
dog? You have a dog, right?
I do, yeah.
Bring the dog, let him run. It's a great place to go with the pups.
I can't
It
let her
is
run.
not a
She
dog
will-
park, though.
she will-
You gotta leave them on leash.
I mean, run around with you
Yes.
hanging onto the leash.
Hanging onto the leash. And if you know my dog,
Go
you
in
know
the
that I have
driveway.
to.
Yes.
'Cause she's a runner. She'll
I've
take
been
off.
acquainted.
Great.
So, so thank you, and so you feel like the inside will be all tied up by the end of the month, hopefully?
Yeah, if
Okay.
everyone cooperates and shows up and,
And your plan is to put it on the market?
That's what you said. That's not
I saw a
what I've
sign.
said.
There was a
I
sign.
I
There
put a
was a
sign
sign.
up when I went away for a week and a half or so back
interesting.
in, I don't know when it was, February or March, just to see what kind of bites I'd get on it.
Oh.
I'm torn. I mean,
Okay.
I really like to try to find a way of hanging on to it.
Okay.
I don't know whether I Airbnb it in conjunction with the Warren Center. It's sort of like a place to stay, wedding parties or whatever, when they're having weddings there. Maybe I'll find a renter, but
Okay.
I don't know. I'm torn. I mean, there's a lot of money in there, and I don't know if I can keep it all tied up.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of struggling with that, trying to figure out what I want to do, but I love it. I'm kind of building it like it's going to be my own place.
Okay. Well, so like personally, like when I had heard that you had put a sign up that it was going to be for sale, I was like, I was a little heartbroken.
Yeah,
I was
just
like,
sorta-
oh,
It's called testing the market.
oh. So
It wasn't even a real estate sign. It was just, coming soon and my name and phone number. So I was just seeing what would happen. I got, 4 or 5 calls. Everyone wanted the barn, though.
yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not part of it.
So I was at a wedding this weekend, Paul, they had an old farmhouse that was a place for the wedding party to stay.
Oh,
And they
wow.
actually had the barn as the dance party area.
Wow. Wow.
And it was pretty nice.
That is
Yeah,
pretty
sounds like Holliston, right?
Sounds like Valentine's.
And soon Valentine.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
Thank you.
Me too.
The MOU stuff?
Yeah, just because Tess is here.
Oh,
So
okay.
Tess here.
Okay,
Oh,
all
They
right.
used the barn.
Yep, sure.
Good.
Okay,
No, don't worry about it.
okay. So,
Okay.
Tiffany's gonna kill me.
okay, so we're gonna call a quick audible on the agenda, move things around a little bit.
Oh.
Really quick, under old new business, we're gonna skip to item D, which is discuss the MOU between the town of Ashland and the Ashland Police Association Local 403.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So do you want to talk about it? You want me to
Sure.
talk about it when we were in executive
Yeah.
session? And
So we, we met in executive session earlier tonight for the board to ratify the MOU between the town of Ashland and MassCop Local 403. And the MOU really contains two pieces, which we discussed. And just so the purposes of full transparency, that's why we're discussing it in an open session as well. And the board did vote to ratify this. But what this MOU does is it increases the compensation for our officers at the police officer and sergeant level, which are covered under the collective bargaining agreement, in exchange for removing the department from civil service. And so just for background for everybody, police positions are hard to fill across the country right now. And they've been difficult to fill here in Ashland. At one point, we're actually down, I believe, 7 officers, Tess. And so what we've tried to do through this MOU is try to make it a more attractive place to work and a flexible application process so we can fill in some of those staffing gaps. And so what this does is for our patrol officers, it gives an increase to step 0 and step 1, a 5% increase from step 0 and step 1. Currently, the step structure is steps 0 through 5 and a 25-year super step. What we are also doing is adding a step 6 and a step 7 and replacing the 25-year super step with a step 8. For sergeants, step 1 now is 9% above the top step of patrol. It will be, excuse me. And then we have for sergeants steps 1 through 5 and a 25-year super step. That 25-year super step is eliminated and will be replaced by a step 6. So that is the compensation associated with this agreement. And again, the next big piece is the removal from civil service. So this MOU lays out a process for hiring officers in the future, and then it also contains a process for promotions to both sergeant and lieutenant. So we worked really hard and a long time on this. I'm referring to Sergeant Tess here, who's in the audience tonight, and thanks to the union and the union leadership and the union membership, and also Catherine Bird, our HR director. Again, after many months and many hours of sitting down and going through this, we were able to hammer it out and accomplish some long-awaited goals. So that is the agreement with MassCop Local 403. And then, again, this is contingent on a ballot vote that will occur in July. And I can just move on into dispatchers if you want to, and then we can move into the ballot piece. So we also signed an MOU with our communications officers, our dispatchers, MassCop Local 495. And again, the board did ratify this in exec session, and we're discussing it here for the purposes of transparency. It's a 3-year agreement starting back July 1st, 2022, and it goes through 6/30/2025. We went from a separate fire dispatch operation and a separate police dispatch operation to a combined dispatch operation when we moved into the new public safety building. Our fire dispatchers were working 24-hour shifts. Our police dispatchers were working 8-hour shifts. Under this agreement, they are now together working 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off. And then the rest of the MOU, it contains a new wage scale, which again brings us closer to par with some of our surrounding communities and makes Ashland a more attractive place to work. And then a couple of other odds and ends within the MOU. And again, they have voted to agree to this, and so has the board. So those are the agreements.
Okay. Great. Sergeant, is there anything that you wanted? I didn't know if you wanted to speak here. I know you're here, so I figured the very least I could do is offer.
In case you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay.
So.
Does the board have?
I just, one question for you, Mike.
Put on your microphone.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Top step sergeant to the lieutenant's pay, is there a specific
There is a
figure?
difference. I don't have that percentage right now,
Okay.
but that's something that we are
Still
we have to
negotiating on?
look at too, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So lieutenants aren't covered under the collective
No, I
bargaining
understand
agreement,
that.
but we want to keep those same principles in place.
Okay, thank you.
So as the board had ratified both of these in executive session, there's no additional action that we have to take tonight, but it does kind of go into sort of the next step, which is, you had mentioned that we need to call for a special election. And that is because we had opted into to civil service by an election, by a ballot.
In 1957, correct.
And so, for us to exit civil service, we also need to have a ballot election as well. So, I know you have, do you have wording that you
Yeah.
specifically?
So I have
or-
wording here, so the specific, and just to let everybody know, we're looking at the date of July 26, 2023, because time is of the essence. Cindy Livingston, our town clerk, did provide the board with a memo that just laid out some of the things that she asked for. So the first thing that I would ask the board to vote on is to call a special election for July 26, 2023, and open the election warrant.
So moved.
Is there- All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes 5-0. And so now we need to talk about what that election looks like, because Cindy had made some specific recommendations
Yep.
to us.
Correct.
I would say just my only concern is changing the times and eliminating early morning voting and late evening voting is somewhat problematic for me, because I think that causes issues for families and for folks that are working to be able to vote outside of the 10 to 7 is somewhat restrictive in my perspective. I know that she had requested early voting,
Yep.
but the hours for early voting are
8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. On Wednesday before the election. I'm sorry, I don't have that exact date. And then 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on the Thursday before the election.
How does the board feel about the election times?
So she is offering, we are offering early voting as well as mail-in, is that right?
Yes, so mail-in ballots, so people who requested mail-in ballots will automatically get a ballot for this election.
Correct.
Based on her memo.
Wednesday and Thursday.
So it sounds like there's going to be an opportunity for early voting, but I guess not as early as 7 a.m. Is that
Correct.
what I'm seeing? Okay, so, and the Wednesday and Thursday before the election, is that the whole week before the election? Right, so we're looking at doing the election
On a Wednesday.
on Wednesday, the 26th. So early voting of the 8 a.m. to 6:30 would be the 19th and the 20th?
That is correct.
Okay. I think as long as we get the information out there and notify the public
Okay.
that we're not going to be starting at 7 a.m. on Election Day, they'll have the opportunity to go either Wednesday or Thursday at 8 a.m. Because didn't we get information about what time people vote?
Yes, we did.
We did.
I
She
think
did
that,
include that.
that maybe one of those days we have to have the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
That's
For
a
the
good
early
point.
voting?
Yeah, for the early voting.
You know, any of the 3 days really would be fine with me, but I think at some point we should cover that hour.
So that way the people that need to,
Yeah,
because it's gonna be tough.
and there's a substantial number of people who vote in that hour, right?
Right.
If you look at the information from our May election, only 54 people voted between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Right, but that's a substantial number when you think about how many people voted,
1,200
right?
people voted, right? And we had more
I guess it's
more
always-
early voting and absentee votes than we did 7 to 8
So we
a.m.
had like 5% of people come
Yeah.
from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah,
which
so
is
maybe
not
if-
insignificant. I don't
Maybe
think.
if one of the early voting days could start at 7 instead of 8. Like
Does
the
that-
the
yeah, how
20th.
does that work logistically? I guess it's.
Could we look at the Thursday?
The 20th, yeah, because they're here late on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Right, so if the 20th was a 7 a.m. start.
So 7 to 3:30.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be at the high school again, right?
the actual
voting day,
vote, yeah, the actual
usual
election.
place in the town
In
hall
the
for
gym.
the early voting.
Yep.
Okay.
The one
Would
thing,
that work?
We'll make that work.
Yeah.
Michael, I meant to ask this beforehand, and you probably don't have it now. What's the cost to do a special election like this?
It's about $11,000 to do a special election. I think, well, the way Cindy has worked this,
Maybe a
kind
little
of worked
less.
this out, it would be substantially less.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
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 Because of these reduced hours.
Because
Okay.
we wouldn't have to pay election workers for 4 hours of
Correct.
payroll.
And does she always have to have a lot of election workers, even if there's low turnout? Because there's always a lot of, there's X number of people always there.
Yeah, because you never know. You never know, Rob. And elections being the foundation of our democracy and everything, the integrity of it is so important.
You have to make sure that all the ballot boxes are manned.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking. So
Monitored,
we
man.
now have six precincts?
Yeah, we have
Six
six
precincts.
precincts, so we have to have.
So
yeah.
we have to have the
Yeah.
same number
So at
of
least
people
12.
for each one. You
I-
can't just double them up or anything like that?
Well, I'm sure if we can,
Cindy will
and it
find a
makes
way.
sense, Cindy
Yeah, maybe
will.
Look at
do
something
that.
like that.
So we need to make a motion to approve the hours for Election Day on July 26th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is that what we're
Mhm.
looking for? And then early voting.
Okay,
on-
so I move that we have the following voting times for the election. On July 19th, it will be from 8 to 6:30 p.m. And on July 20th, it will be 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And that will be early voting at Ashland Town Hall. And then on the actual election day of Wednesday, July 26th, the voting time will be from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that
We'll just
passes.
advertise. You have
Yeah.
WACA, we have,
Yeah,
other-
Yeah.
we'll talk, we can talk a lot about it.
Is there anything specific that we have to vote on for the wording?
Yep, so now you need to vote to place the question on the ballot, and
And we
Brandy,
read
I'm
that?
going to provide that to you.
Okay.
It's the highlighted section.
So the wording on the ballot would read as follows: Shall the town's acceptance of Chapter 31 of the General Laws, in parentheses, Civil Service Law, in 1957 be revoked for all officers below the rank of chief within the police department?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
That's it, and then we'll double-check everything, make sure everything is good, and then at the next meeting, we'll ask the board to close and post that warrant. So
Okay.
we can start
Will that
making
give us
progress.
enough time if we do it at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
All right, great.
A lot of stuff.
You got it.
Awesome.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, because
Thanks,
she can already do the ballots with the question, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
all
Great.
right, sounds good. All right. So
Thank you, Sergeant. That's great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being here.
Under item A, under old new business, discuss appointment to the Board of Health to fill the vacancy. So I know Cindy Livingstone had provided us parts of the charter that talked about when we need to do the joint appointment with the Board of Health. So Bernadette Moncouse had resigned as of
The 17th.
the 17th, on Election Day. So the Board of Health is down one member. And we will need to give notice of 14 days per our charter to do the appointment. So I know that Nikki Agu, who had run for the position, I know she's still interested in serving on the Board of Health. As far as like how, we need to definitely
Still need to
advertise.
advertise, yeah.
Sure.
Post it, advertise it, and then hold a joint meeting.
and hold a joint meeting. So now we're looking at potential dates for that joint meeting. We're not going to try to squeeze it in on the 21st, because that's just to be too much.
Right
of a-
on.
That's
we have
too
too much
early,
else
and we
going
wouldn't
on.
meet the posting requirements.
Oh, okay.
But we, right, but we could look at having a joint meeting at the beginning of the board's meeting, the select board's
July.
meeting on July 12th.
Sure.
And the
you know
Board of
if-
Health meets on the 11th, I think.
Yeah, for sure, I didn't check
It's the
that,
first and third.
but the first is
Oh,
the
the first,
4th.
oh, yes, you said you were going to check.
I did not get to
Okay.
check, so. I don't know.
So we
Why
can
not?
invite the Board of Health to our meeting on the 12th
Mhm.
and have it be the first 15 minutes. And so as of tomorrow, we can post the
That's
opening.
optimistic. Did you say 15 minutes? That could be, depends.
I mean, I guess it depends on how many
Many
people
people.
decide to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can now say we're looking for someone to fill that seat on the Board of Health. I know that we knew this during the election season, so it was sort of said that, you know, there is the possibility that if
Yeah.
you don't get elected, there will be a seat available. If anyone else decides to step up and put their name forward, then we'll have a discussion. But
So, so we can plan on, why don't we plan on the 12th
I think so.
at our
I
meeting?
think we can,
Yeah.
and we can relay that to the Board of Health. And
Right,
if there are
and
any
invite them.
concerns, then we can talk
Right,
about
if
that.
anything needs to change.
Okay.
Is that a typical meeting start time?
7 o'clock,
Yes.
yeah.
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 So we're changing our schedule for summer. So
Yeah.
typically, we would meet the first and third Wednesdays, but we're meeting on the 12th this.
Yeah, I knew
We're
we
gonna
were
do
doing
one
that,
in
but I wasn't
July and
sure
one
if we
in
also,
August.
sometimes, I know on school committee, we used to meet during the day in the summer a couple of times, so.
Yeah, no.
No.
Oh,
We used to push it up to 6.
hey, Claudia.
We could go slightly if we need to, but it sounds like
I,
we're all
I
right.
think 7 o'clock makes sense.
Okay, so
I don't
we'll
know about
plan
you,
to
but my
do.
job does not change that much in the summer that I can start at 6 or 5.
All right, so we'll plan to have a joint meeting with the Board of Health
Yep.
at 7, probably 7:10 PM or something on the,
Or call it 7:15.
yeah, on July 12th.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to reach out to the Board of Health? Do you want, okay, you'll coordinate
do
that?
that,
Okay.
Considering as of the end of this meeting, you're
I'm
not
no longer
chair.
chair.
I know, she's very good at this, though.
Okay,
She's making a lot of notes for future meetings.
okay.
So just a little.
Well, that's what you're doing on the phone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, I actually am, but
All right, does
I know
anyone
it's
else
good.
have anything else they want to discuss with that? Okay. So moving on, the next item on our agenda is discuss the home rule petition for additional liquor licenses. So the, just pulling up the document, we had, when we had, yeah, you want to go ahead?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead,
Yeah,
Michael?
so the board had wanted us to look at exploring the possibility of going through a home rule petition process to get more liquor licenses, because currently we have 7 remaining, after we had 3 additional licenses given to us for our population increase. And so what Susan had put together for you is just a memo that kind of outlined the licenses that we have are allowed and what has been issued and what is remaining. But if we want to go through the home rule petition process, what could we look at adding through that? And so I misspoke earlier, Brandy, when we were talking earlier, kind of going over the agenda. But we just identified the need for licenses for downtown redevelopment and the need for licenses for a Route 126 development. We really didn't necessarily need to have those restricted.
Oh, okay.
So what the recommendation is actually to do a home rule petition for 10 all alcohol on-premise licenses and 6 wine and malt on-premise licenses. And if the board wants to pursue that and move forward with that, then we will start that process and get that ready for a town meeting.
Question. Why wouldn't we just go for 16 all alcohol licenses rather than splitting them up?
Well, because you might not necessarily want to have 16 all alcohol licenses out there, just because of the connotation,
Right.
just expanded into hard liquor and things like that. So I don't think you necessarily would want to have that many.
Okay.
Don't disagree. I think that's a smart.
So I just want to back up a second. So we've currently got 6 unused, or 7 if you count the package store, which really isn't part of this, right? We're not talking about increasing
Correct.
that, are we? So we've got 6 unused right now, and you're proposing, or who's proposed? Is this Beth or you? Who wrote this analysis here?
So Susan had put this together,
Oh,
Susan
Susan
Rowe,
did.
who handles a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of the licensing requirements.
All right.
The other thing I should have pointed out, Yolanda, is that the all alcohol licenses are also $1,000 more. So sometimes that makes it prohibitively
Right.
expensive for
So-
an entity that wants to come in.
So what's the analysis behind the 16 additional ones? We've got 6 open now. I mean, did someone go through and analyze what we're likely to want or get in the coming years based on this redevelopment? Or, like, it seems like a lot to me. We've got 6 unused, you want to add an additional 16.
So
Is
my
that really-
my understanding is that with a home rule petition, we do sort of like one ask. So it's not, so we're not going to ask for 4 more now and then 2 years from now
Yeah,
do
it's
another
kinda leading
4.
up to that.
So, you know, we kind of have to have this analysis. So we talk about like 501 Pond Street, we talk about 12 Pond Street, because I think there's going to be a request for a liquor license at 12 Pond Street with Senti, potentially.
But but
Clover
like for that,
Road.
we're good.
A pouring license, right?
Well, Clover Road, but are they wine and malt even?
They're wine and malt, but
Yeah.
they haven't been, they haven't come before us yet, so it's.
Right,
they're
so
not
that one, so
allocated.
we would have one available if when they come before us.
Well, it says here
Well-
we have 2 available.
Right, but if they take one,
Oh,
then there's
we'll
only
have
one
Right,
left.
I guess my point
I mean,
is that we
I-
already have some, and, yeah.
I
I guess
mean-
question of numbers, and, yeah.
Well, and the other idea is, if we go for them and we get them, we don't necessarily have to
Issue them.
distribute them and use them, right, until until things change or we see that. I mean, I'm looking at some of these properties in our potential needs, and I'm thinking 100 Chestnut Street, really? But you have a community living there, it might make sense for them to have a little wine and beer thing right there that they could walk to and make it accessible and stuff like that. You know, I'm saying, you know, when you look at like 200 Homer Ave, okay, again, we're looking at a potential development there with some retail, so, I mean, I think some of these are interesting, but I guess that was, my question was more, does it make sense to just go for all alcohol versus wine and beer? But,
Potential needs, MBTA train station? Whoops.
Well,
What's
if
happening
there's-
there?
Well, you know that whole renovation that they're doing? There's
Yeah,
a-
they're gonna
a
put it in.
alternate-
Putting in a bar, no, I'm kidding.
But no, I mean, there's, you
It's
know,
still-
there
I
is
mean-
talk about the redevelopment of Jajari's place there.
right,
Well,
but
he
they
must
have a
have
liquor license,
now,
right?
though. He's got one now, he must have.
Yeah, but it might not fit exactly what, like, a new development would want to.
What do you mean, but it's a license, right?
No, they're different licenses allow for different things, and I'm not sure exactly which one Burnham's has.
He has
They have a
pouring
full, they have a full
Yeah.
liquor
Yeah.
license, oh,
So
yeah.
that would be available. I guess I don't know, so I wanna go back to
Still
Brandy's
open.
point about
Like one bite at the apple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so how important is that, and then not using all these? I'm a little uneasy about asking for so many, but, so.
So
this
that
whole- we-
direction came from our legislators had said, come to us with one number.
One number.
Yeah. So that's how they handle this.
Because this will take a while too,
Yeah.
Rob, so, you know, you pass it at town meeting, it's going to take a year probably to get through the legislative process, so.
So what are you recommending again, Michael? How many and how many?
10 all alcohol on premise and 6 wine and malt on premise.
Which is basically the same as what's here, right? Except it's not
Just the
broken
breakdown.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, what do other people think? I just, but-
I think that's the right way to go.
I think it is too. I don't think we want to close off opportunities for businesses.
Why
when
would
we
you
have
force
these-
a business owner who doesn't want alcohol, he just wants beer and
Oh, no,
wine?
no, I meant the whole overall number,
Oh.
Joe, 16. It just strikes, we've got 6 available now, we're gonna add 16, so is that,
So 10 all alcohol and 6 wine and beer?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you look at like Dolce de Leche, who has a wine and beer license, you know, which wouldn't fit a typical, you know, they would never go for like a full alcohol
Right.
license.
Ramen has it too, right? He has a beer and wine license.
No, just the distribution, I think now.
Distribution.
different, yeah.
He,
A little
they
different.
turned in their
No, I didn't realize that.
their
Okay.
restaurant one,
Okay.
yeah.
and I guess, so us or future boards, of course, would then control it, so I guess you have to have confidence in.
Is the fee,
Well,
is the fee an annual fee?
Yes.
Well, and the other thing, this has to, as you said, this would have to go to town meeting,
Yep.
right? We'd have to present this to town meeting to say, we'd like to go for this, and then we'd have to get feedback from the community to see if they would support it. It
It
would
probably would
be-
be good to have a good analysis of what the build-out looks like, or what potentially.
The other thing I would think might be interesting is communities that have either done this before And what has that looked like in regards to, you know, we get wine, we get our alcohol licenses based on the number of residents. So we know we got some because in the last census, we had more residents. But for communities that have gone and asked for more, what has that looked like in their community to add those additional restaurants or places that would sell it, to see, did it impact them negatively in any way, or was just a positive, and did people appreciate it, and did it help their economy in regards to adding more restaurants? I don't know if that's something, you know, Beth may have information based on, yeah, based on what other communities have done.
And Susan, you might have gathered some information as to what other communities, when they've gone through the home rule process, like how many they asked for, right? I think you had some of those numbers.
So I actually spoke to the executive director, and when I spoke to him, he said that we're best to ask for as many as we think we could potentially need, so that we don't have to go through the process more than once. Right. He didn't give a number, but he said most people that have asked have gotten it, because a lot of communities have gone through this. I know Hudson went through it. It might have been 5 years ago when they did their redevelopment, and they got some then. They didn't ask for as many as us, but their numbers are much higher, so they probably had a lot more to begin with.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Susan.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Do we feel like we have enough information to make a decision tonight?
Yeah, I mean, because, I think I personally feel like I have enough information to start moving forward.
Okay.
And then we'll have to write something up, and it will have to go on the town meeting warrant for the special meeting, special town meeting in the fall, I would think. So we have some time to do a little more research. And then, as with anything, if we're going to present this to town meeting, we have to have the due diligence and the information to back it up, to say why we think this is a good thing for Ashland.
Okay.
It definitely gives you time.
Yep.
Okay, so do we need to take a vote on this, or are we okay with?
I don't think you
just
need
the
to take a vote.
I think so. I
Just the
think,
direction.
yeah, just the right direction.
All right,
Yep.
that works. That sounds good. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments, questions?
Thanks,
No?
Susan.
We're good? Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay, moving on, the next item on our agenda is announce the Select Board Scholarship recipients. Yolanda and Joe, you are the subcommittee on the scholarships,
Go ahead,
so.
young lady. I had to leave you standing at the altar.
So Joe and I reviewed all the scholarships, and after reviewing, one of the things we always try to do is look at our candidates, pick who we think we would like to give it to, and then check with the schools to see if the students have gotten another scholarship. And if not, then we stay with our initial selection, and if they have, then we move on to our second selection. We were able to stay with both of our first selections, and a number of years ago, we went from saying, okay, it has to be one male and one female, to just two students. They don't have to be from Ashland High School, but that's all we got this year were students from Ashland High School. So our two recipients were, I need to find it here, Matthew Shuey and Daniela Brodsky. And Matthew was just so appreciative. Like, you could tell he didn't expect, he applied, but he didn't expect it. He hadn't gotten any other ones. Same with Daniela. They were just very appreciative of receiving it. One thing Joe and I have talked about, and we'll bring it back to the committee at some point, is we'd like to refine the question that we ask in regards to community, because I think we want the students to think more about not just the community, the school being their community, but what they're doing for Ashland. And it sort of slipped a little bit. It used to be we'd always have kids who had worked at the farmer's market and had worked at different events. And I don't know if it was because of COVID or just how things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
A number of them, when they talked about community, they talked just about their school community and what they did in their school community, which is important and which is a good thing. But being the select board, I think we feel like we want students who really look at outside their school community. So we're going to come back probably sometime in the fall with some changes to the application so that people know.
And that may change as well, Yolanda,
Yeah.
as a result of the school committee removing the community service
Requirement for community service,
So
yeah.
that may hinder, what we're looking to do, so we have to revisit that.
So the one thing I did realize is that even though it's for the broader students, they're removing it. If you want to do National Honor Society, you still have to do community service.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think there are still going to be kids doing that, and I mean,
I
we
would
have
hope
a
so.
lot of great families who
Yep.
teach their kids that
Yep.
community service is important.
And the schools are
even if
going to
it's not
continue
required.
to explore opportunities for
Right.
students and to even build, I think, the desire to do community service from a younger age.
Yes.
I think there were certainly issues around students, some students being able to, meet that requirement based on, it's another one of those things where if you have a certain life, then it's easier for you to do things than if you don't. So, and one thing you could just say, and Steve, even you could remove the term community and say to Ashland if you
Right.
wanted, or
Right.
or to the greater good for the world, however
Right.
you
Yeah.
wanted to word it. But you could be very specific. And
Yep. So.
The one
yes.
thing that
Good point.
struck me was that there was only 17 applications that came through.
Yeah, it was a
That was
small
it.
number. It
Very
was a
small.
smaller number this year.
Yep.
Which, again, we were a little bit surprised about. Typically, we get it anywhere from like 20 to 25, so.
Easily.
Does, I'm just curious, because now my son is at the age where we're getting into all this stuff, but, so, does the schools have it in their, like,
Yeah, the
Naviance
schools
system?
have it, oh yeah, they have it
Okay,
in
all
their
right, I just
portal.
wanted to make sure, like.
That's how the kids
Okay.
know about it, is
Okay.
that.
Oh,
And
So
I mean,
it's
and we
just-
talk about it, right? And we
Right,
talk
right.
about the fact that we have a scholarship, but yeah, that when the schools
Okay.
go on the portal, that they see that there is a scholarship available from the select board.
And we put it up on WACA, it's
Yeah,
on their,
they do
it's
it as
on
well.
the
Yeah.
community,
Okay. No, I was just
Board.
curious, because I'm like, that's a,
it was low.
and, I mean, I am a parent of a 16-year-old that, inertia is a thing, and seniors are busy, but inertia is a thing.
I had someone who saw me after class day and they said, we didn't even know there was a select board scholarship because their child either hadn't found it or hadn't said anything, or they said, you know what, I'm done. I've done what I need to do. Whatever I'm doing for
Yeah.
school, I'm doing, so I'm not gonna complete another application for a scholarship. So,
But thank you guys for
Oh, you're
going
welcome.
through all of that, and,
yeah,
and
it's fun to get to know some of the students
Yeah.
by reading their information and then just getting to share that at class day.
And Matt Shuey's a good kid. He is like, he runs track with my kids, so he is, the whole family's a very nice family, but Matt is a really good kid, and I can't remember where he's going, but I think he's running track.
Yeah.
In school, like in college, so anyway, great, thank you
We did a lot of
for,
volunteer work over at the Farmers Market, which was.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the library as well.
how much are those scholarships?
$2,000.
Yeah.
This was the first year they used to be 1,500 and now they're 2,000. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Something at least by Brits or something.
Okay, moving on our agenda, discuss the annual reappointment process for boards, committees, and commissions. I know Susan handles all the legwork on the reappointment process. Susan, do you want to kind of go through your timeline and because basically all the boards and commissions that we reappoint, we do it in August, but the work starts like now. So do you want to kind of talk through all that, Susan?
So ultimately, normally what I do is I start reaching out to anyone who has an appointment that's expiring so that I can prepare a list. You need to do the appointments at your August meeting in order to make sure that they have time to get sworn in when their appointment expires August 31st.
And Susan, we're still going that you're letting them know that if they want to, that's interesting. There we go. If they want to be reappointed, they need to submit a talent bank form, right? Same as what we did last year?
We didn't do that last
No,
year.
I think we put that
I
off.
thought we did.
No, we did, I think
No.
we put that off because,
So what I did is I sent out emails asking people if they were looking to get reappointed and added them to a list and then provided you with that list. And that's kind of why I'm reaching out to you. I know every year we say we're going to look at the process, and we usually get to January, we kind of push it off, and then we get to crunch time, and we decide that we have to move forward with the same process.
The reason I say that is because I had someone at the senior center say to me, so if I want to be reappointed, I have to fill out a talent bank form again.
There was a discussion last year
We
of
did
whether
it last
people.
year.
Did we do it 2 years ago, maybe?
No, but we've talked about changing the process.
And we got
just
some
haven't.
feedback.
Yeah.
So what happened last year is the chair of the Council on Aging
Yeah.
told the members that they all had to fill out talent bank forms. They were the only committee that did that.
Oh.
Oh,
Because we had talked about it, but we never did put it in
We never
effect.
put in.
okay, I thought we did.
Correct.
We got some pushback.
We did.
Well, I
It's
know
a
we
lot
got
of paperwork.
pushback, but I'm still,
So I guess the question is, revisiting the question, so, are we planning to do automatic reappointments for folks that do want to be reappointed? I know that some people have like a lot of institutional knowledge on the committee. Some people have been on these committees for a long time. We always encourage new people to get involved, and there's the balance between wanting to encourage the new people plus wanting to allow people that have enjoyed serving the community to continue to serve. So I guess if we're going to make any changes, or are we not going to make changes? So.
I mean, I know we got pushback, and I appreciate that Susan's willing to go, reach out to these people and see who wants to make the list. But part of me is, and this is what I stated last time, right? Is we appreciate every volunteer, and the 5 of us sitting here are also volunteers. And for us to get reappointed, it's an election, and that's the decision that we make to participate on this board. But if we want to increase and change and allow new people to be involved, we need to look at all the talent. We need to look at what people are offering to our community. And if you can just be reappointed and not have to fill out a form to let us know that, how do we, I remember we got our hand slapped a number of years ago because we had created some committee and we didn't have any new people on it. It was all people that we knew and all people who had been doing stuff in town, and new people who had wanted to get involved were not involved. So I think about all these people who submitted information for our comprehensive plan committee.
Yeah.
Right? There are people there who, when they filled out a talent bank form, had listed other committees. So, if people don't want to make a change, okay, but I just think that we keep hearing it's the same people over and over again, and we want new blood on the committees, and we want new input, and yes, we need to have a balance. I'm not saying we, get rid of everybody, but none of our committees are such that everyone would be gone.
So,
Are there a lot of people who are
Yeah.
trying to become members
Well,
of these
that's what I'm-
committees?
Hold on, Susan had a question. Yeah.
If we decided to change up the process and have everybody submit, with it already being June, if we put it out and people return them in July, when would you interview to get them reappointed?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
the problem.
afraid-
Because
Yeah.
we're only having one meeting in July and one meeting in August, I realize.
yeah, there's a lot of logistics. I think, we want to find a balance. I think for example, one of the people that didn't get appointed to the comprehensive plan is, we're getting on the Upper Charles Trail. So he's starting to attend, and we'll look at that process. And there happens to be one opening, so we're good. So I think it's kind of like, are you getting a lot of people applying and not finding anything? I think if we were to establish whether that's happening or not, then I think we can decide if we need to be more rigorous in our reappointment. The hesitation I have is like, if someone's willing to reappoint, why make them jump through hoops? Why not just appoint them? Unless you really are identifying an issue, like a lot of people who want to get involved but are being discouraged. I guess I'm not sensing that from people, that they're not finding places or ways to get involved. I mean, it's not perfect.
I mean, I guess Susan would know better than the rest, right? How many people have submitted talent bank forms that they haven't been appointed to something? Other than comprehensive plan. I mean, that was an anomaly.
ZBA.
So I think that's really kind of a tough question to answer, and the reason I say that is we advertise the positions that have vacancies. We don't advertise all the positions that are
Right,
filled.
right.
We do at times get people that just take the talent bank form and they just go down anything that's of interest to them. They check it off, and you probably see me when I respond to them and I say, you know, we don't have anything that's available, but certainly you can get involved at public meetings.
Right.
We go through that process. So I think to use, I could send you out, I have a tracker. I could send you out the tracker that shows everybody that has applied. I keep it from January to December each year, and then I start a new one. But I'm not sure that that's going to give you the answer you're looking for, because if someone is looking at volunteer opportunities, they're not going to apply.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay. So as much as I would like to push that we have to have, if they're reapplying, they should fill out the talent bank form. I think because of the timing, we're only going to have 3 meetings this summer, and I know myself, I'm not going to have quite the energy that I usually have to do things. Right. So I would say that we just leave it the way it is for this year, but in the fall, take a real, a hard look at how we do it and talk about it a little bit further.
Maybe that's something we can discuss during our
retreat.
selectmen retreat.
Right, so.
You know, in some finer detail, and
Yep.
just ponder it for a while.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. So Susan, the consensus sounds like, the usual process. So you'll reach out to folks and put together your, basically so we know what openings we're going to have and versus, and we can get those advertised. Okay. Yep. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is approve and sign the land lease for the cell tower located at 20 Ponderosa Road. This is the agreement that we have in our packet. Do you want to talk through it?
Yeah, I mean, this is simply a lease agreement that pretty much is the same terms as the previous lease agreement that we had.
So this isn't a new agreement. This is.
Well, this is a new agreement, but the
but
terms
it's a
are.
renewal for someone who's already
existing.
there.
So, exactly.
Okay.
So it's a period of 20 years, annual rental of $41,000. Plus, we also get 60% of the proceeds of any current and future sub-letters that use this tower. So, anything else? Has an escalator in it, I believe, of 3%.
Where is this
annual.
actually?
20 Ponderosa.
So,
Well, I saw the address, I just wasn't sure. And so the antenna's already there?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
tower's, yeah, it's like right.
Okay,
DPW,
okay.
yeah.
It's by the DPW.
Yeah. Okay,
Where the animal shelter is.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so, does anyone else have any questions on this? So we need a vote on this tonight.
I move that we approve the land lease for the cell tower located at 21 Ponderosa Road based on the lease as presented.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
And we all need to sign that tonight, or?
No, we don't have it tonight. I think
Oh, okay.
Diane said it tomorrow, I think it's gonna be.
believe so.
Gonna be,
She-
the hard copy will be sent to us. And
Correct.
at some point between the end of this week and early next week, we'll all need to sign
We'll
it.
have to sign it by then.
Might it be
Oh, you know
available
what?
tomorrow?
I don't think it's gonna be.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's like a FedEx.
Yeah, actually, I think you could take a vote to just authorize the chair to sign.
Oh, okay. Diane
Oh.
had said everyone's.
Well,
It
that's,
says-
it's
We've done that in
listed,
the past.
it's listed on that, but you can.
Okay. I move that
certainly-
we approve that we assign the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
And that would be Rob.
And that'll be Rob.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now you'll have to make a field
Yep.
trip, yep. Okay. The next item on the agenda, approve funding from the Selectmen's gift account to cover the cost of the public safety building ribbon cutting. We don't need to,
We don't need to do that.
discuss.
Oh, no?
No, we're pulling that one.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Joe's opening his pockets.
Get the big scissors.
No.
All right. The next item on our agenda is to discuss the open meeting law complaint filed by Stephen Morgan on May 17th, 2023. This complaint is too many sets of minutes and requires a response to his complaint. I do have a response that was put together by our town council. I did want to just state that I had reached out to Mr. Morgan when he had sent us the open meeting law complaint, and basically had told him that the reason that we had so many minutes on our last agenda, and it was 6, not 7, because we had pulled one set of minutes, was that as part of one of the things that I was trying to do before I rotated off as chair was to clean up like some of this stuff as much as possible. So we had found a meeting from October that we didn't have minutes posted, so we put we prioritized getting a lot of these meeting minutes completed. And Susan cranked out a ton of meeting minutes, so thank you to Susan for doing that. And then, she was on vacation too, so we were kind of getting caught up with town meetings. So, and then going through his memo of the dates, the last 3 meeting minutes that we had approved were our last 3 meetings, which falls under Mass General Law timeline anyway. So I basically said to Mr. Morgan that if he would have just reached out to me, I would have explained all this to him, and that he should feel free to reach out to us with questions and not necessarily require a open meeting law complaint. But
we got this.
Yes.
Why does it have an Exhibit A and an Exhibit B with it? Is there supposed to be something on there?
I think it'll have the minutes, if I remember correctly, but
Okay. So
we
I'll
usually actually show them, we actually print out the actual minutes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Typically, but I just want to make sure that's all right.
Okay.
but I can read this just so we know.
Yep.
We can be very transparent as to what we are responding to. So, dear Mr. Morgan, in response to your open meeting law complaint filed against the Town of Ashland Select Board, attached hereto as Exhibit A, please accept this response. As Town Council, I have been asked with reviewing your complaint, alleging that the board violated the open meeting law because of the minutes of the October 12th, 2022, and March 8th, March 15th, March 29th, April 12th, April 26th, and May 3rd, 2023 meetings were not approved until May 17th, 2023. Pursuant to 940 CMR 2911-2, quote, minutes of all open and executive sessions shall be created and approved in a timely manner. A timely manner will generally be considered to be within the next 3 public body meetings or within 30 days, whichever is later, unless the public body can show good cause for further delay. The minutes of April 12th, April 26th, and May 3rd were approved within 3 meetings of the board in compliance with the open meeting law. The remaining minutes have been approved, eliminating the need for any further corrective action in relation thereto. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Elizabeth Lyden, Town Council. So I think we are pretty much.
Brandy, I have a question.
Yep.
When we have an open meeting law violation or complaint, I guess would be the correct term, and that has to go to Town Council, what does it cost us for the Town Council to respond to that?
I was just thinking of that, Claudia. I can get you that figure. And give you a figure of how much it's cost us to respond to them in total, or
Right.
over the year or something
Yeah, I'd be
like that.
interested in that, thanks.
So,
Yeah.
I did, in another further email to Mr. Morgan, I suggested, because he was asking about other committees and meeting minutes, and I suggested that he reach out and ask the questions, because people are generally responsive, and we are all trying to be as transparent as possible, and we are all also human, so, things do eventually happen, but we are trying to clean up all of these meeting minutes, and I think we did the right thing.
Haven't we talked about trying to, I think this is a good response, and I don't know if we have to vote on this response, but I think this is a good response, and certainly the fact that we've cleaned stuff up. this does seem to be something that we talk about every couple of years, right? That meeting minutes get behind, and so I guess my question is there a way to not get ourselves in this situation? On
Yeah,
a
have
more
shorter
regular
meetings.
basis? Have shorter meetings.
No, I'm serious in some ways. I mean, Susan spends an inordinate amount of time on meeting minutes. We actually had somebody who would help us with this, but who is now doing the planning board. But planning board meetings are now so long
Right.
that that person does not have the capacity. And I think we can still cover the same things that we covered, actually probably a little bit more. And I've said this before, so this is nothing new. But I just think, you know, if we're a little bit more efficient in our meetings, that will narrow the time down, and then that's not as much tape as Susan has to go through and review and kind of, you know, she takes notes as she's going through this. But other than that, I'm really just not sure. I don't have an answer.
You know, I was wondering a lot of times the minutes are very detailed, and I'm wondering how detailed do they need to be? If there's a standard, like obviously when there's a specific action taken, then that needs to be recorded. But like we're discussing things, so how much of what we say does Susan need to be recorded in the minutes? Could it be like the board discussed, you know, the matter, the pros and cons, and you know, and maybe some way of making it a little briefer. I don't know if that's been an issue. It's not clear to me how detailed minutes need to be, especially when everything's recorded anyway, and people can always look up the recording.
There's no real, I mean, I don't think there's a real explicit standard, Rob, except that you're supposed to capture certainly the votes, right? But also the essence, the motions and the votes, but certainly kind of the essence of the conversation. I think, you know, maybe we do have a little bit too much detail. I'm
not criticizing, but if we're,
I'm not taking it that way. But
if we're really kind of coming up like these are long meetings and a lot of things get said and there's a lot of back and forth. So, you know, maybe there's ways of cutting down the minutes time. You know, I don't know.
Well, the thing, so there's the writing of it, but you still have to go through the meeting.
Yeah.
Spend the time going through the meeting.
So I'm the secretary for the school building committee, and it's me. And
You're taking the minutes, Claudia?
yeah, I'm actually taking the minutes, and then, you know, the chair, you know, he's very good, and he has sometimes a better understanding of some of the construction type issues that we're discussing. So he then goes through it, but for an hour-long meeting, again, because you're going through it in real time, even though I've attended the meeting, I did my best to take notes, but I go through and sit and listen to the meeting, go back and forth. It's unfortunate in this day and age when meetings are recorded that there wouldn't be an alternative to really what we currently have to do.
So let me ask a question.
And I wonder if there is one.
Yeah.
In this day and age of, you know, high tech, why can't we just put them on CDs and have a library of CDs, and if somebody wants notes, this is it right here, we give you a copy of them. So that way,
That would be a state level
That
thing.
would be a state thing.
We can't make that decision on
we
our
can't
own.
make
I mean, you can buy
decision on-
transcription software, so they can
Right.
take, you know,
Right.
take our voices even and put
Yeah.
it word for word. However, it's pretty expensive.
But-
And I'm not sure the state would even accept that, I don't know.
Right.
Well, depending upon how much it's gonna cost us to, you know, to fight open meeting law violations, it may be worth the investment.
I mean, maybe, I mean, Susan, how comfortable do you feel like kind of exploring maybe some different alternatives? I know that's an investment of time in and of itself. The other thing we can do is we could, it just costs money. Look at hiring a recording secretary for, you know, a full-time person to do all the meeting minutes for a number of different committees.
Well, and another aspect is too, like when we have joint meetings, that's another level of,
Mhm.
that's another level of minutes.
Both groups have to have
Yep.
them, and, yeah.
Yep.
Right,
And-
both
I
sets of meetings.
mean, I remember when I was on school committee years ago, we had someone, and that's all they did, was our meeting minutes, and I forget who else, but, so maybe there is something to be said, Michael, to hire someone who just does meeting minutes, and they do all the major boards, and I would think that person would then get consistent with what meeting minutes need to look like, and it would offload it from people like Susan and whoever's doing planning board and board of health and some of these other larger committees that, as you said, are having hours and hours of meetings that we're trying to get meeting minutes for. Certainly something to look into.
For sure. I mean, it's actually, we actually discussed it a little bit during this whole budget process, but, you know, felt like there were some other needs that certainly deserve to be funded. But, you know, I do feel like just with the select board, I mean, we were in a pretty big hole, you know,
Yes.
a couple years ago, but I feel like things have been pretty
Yeah, we
manageable.
certainly, I know when I was chair, we worked
Manageable.
through a bunch as well,
Yeah.
and then, you know, we've gotten better, but.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, I think we're really caught up. I mean, like, we'll have one more set of minutes next meeting that didn't make it onto this agenda.
And I guess the next step is, now that they've all been approved, right, you approved all those meeting minutes on the 17th. Now they have to go to Cindy and they have to get uploaded so that they're available on the website.
Correct.
So that's the next step.
Yeah, it's already done, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that usually
Okay.
happens the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You know,
Okay.
one sort of middle of the road, just not to beat a dead horse here, but one middle of the road way of doing it maybe would be to look at some software that would do that transcription from voice to text, and then Susan would just have to go through and delete, you know, every time I went, or, you know, those kinds of things, right?
Right. Or
So
if
just
they-
just clean it up
Or if they
without
couldn't
having to
identify
listen
people.
to the whole thing. It'd be much faster if you just had to read it and go through and tidy it up, kind of.
yeah,
Something to consider.
yeah, okay. So, we should take a vote on this response to Mr. Morgan.
I move that we approve the response to Mr. Morgan's open meeting law violation regarding to our minutes.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all, and thank you to town council for putting that together as well.
And to Susan for doing our minutes.
Yes.
As always.
All right, so moving on to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I still have to laugh at the fact that if a table at the senior center breaks, we have to declare it surplus.
Surplus, yeah.
Yep.
To me,
Okay.
surplus, oh, it's extra, so we can use it. Yeah, I know.
All right, so, moving on to priority project
That's how we
update.
have to do it.
Okay.
Like the printer doesn't
So the
work.
downtown project continues. Things are starting to shape up between Front Street and Summer and Homer Street. The island, the granite curbing has gone in. They're starting to pour sidewalks. So that keeps on going. We actually did a walkthrough yesterday, started putting together a punch list for different items and list of deficiencies that need to be fixed before GeoSo takes off.
So, Michael, I just want to,
Yeah.
sorry. So I was chatting with Beth Reynolds, and she said that we have places where it's wet cement, it's cordoned off, and people actually walk through the wet cement. Has that happened in downtown?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it has.
And have we gone back to fix, or are we not doing that, or?
Well, we're certainly going to make the claim that they need to fix it.
Okay.
But
It might be on our dime.
yeah, I mean, Gioso is going to look at us and say, "Well, you're the ones who your people are the ones that step in it." So
We don't know that. Could be people from Hopkinton.
yeah, I doubt it, Joe.
Purposely messing up our sidewalks?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just, I heard that, and I was like, really? We're trying to finish.
We saw all of them yesterday when we were going through our walkthrough.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's a
heard there were, like,
section
dog prints.
where a maple leaf had fallen.
Okay, well, that happens.
It looks kind of cute.
That probably looks cool, but, okay, anyway.
That's a good time to do that, Maple.
But no,
Anyway.
that does happen. And just also for people to know, so, especially on the islands where there's the curbing, you just see the blacktop.
Right.
What we do there is it's going to be a treatment where it's a stamped asphalt treatment that has a polymer on top of it that will make it look like granite cobble. So-
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, because I thought,
Yeah.
we've got this nice brick over here, and we've got this, and there we got this.
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, and then, the landscaping, We'll really start going in probably more the fall. It's going to be hard to put that in now and keep
You know,
it-
the
keep it
Lions
going.
are gonna reach out to the garden club to see about planters and getting those back in town, and so, I don't know, who should we,
I don't know, I can talk to Doug about it,
Okay.
because Doug and I can, like, daily have a back and forth about how much landscaping is involved in downtown and.
yeah, but the planters, the garden club has always just maintained.
If they can continue to maintain them,
The
that's
islands are
good.
a lot narrower now, too.
We're a bit narrower, yeah.
Okay, well, I know the discussion's gonna be starting, so
Yeah.
I will bring it through you or Doug, who. or
Perfect.
both.
We have to
Okay.
do electronic signs downtown.
Okay.
Nice. Public safety building, I mean, what else needs to be said? Joe or Jen?
So as of our next meeting, that will be off, or are we gonna keep it on as a priority until we have the
Oh.
correct doors?
Wow.
Well, that's a good
You
question.
know, I think,
Jen wants it off.
Yeah.
We can always put it as a town manager report once those doors.
Yeah, just to update, when they'll be in and when they'll be replaced.
I know your fear is if we take it off, we'll wanna put something else on, but
no, actually, well, it wasn't until you mentioned it, but now that is definitely, no, it's just kind of like, I don't think we've taken one off
we
before.
haven't since we've created this list, so.
So,
You'll have two.
wow.
Mendez School, too.
Mendez, you still got another
Mendez.
year of work.
Yeah, I mean,
Gonna be.
we have a meeting next week for Mendez.
Yeah,
Well,
Tuesday,
Have we finished that public safety building?
I think so.
Okay.
Ribbon cutting
Ribbon cutting tomorrow at noon.
Open house on Saturday.
Open house on Saturday, DEI event on Sunday evening.
Yeah, how's that
Memorial
looking?
Sunday morning.
Yes, firefighter Sunday.
Oh, is that this
On
Sunday?
But yes,
Excuse me, for all those events, do people,
Firefighters Sunday.
Firefighter Sunday,
when
Memorial
are we
Sunday.
running shuttles
We'll
in
tell you
Menard?
afterwards.
Yeah, it's a national
From the
thing
high
that they
school. There
don't
was
do.
one, I know for the DE&I event, they talked about shuttles.
shuttles, yes.
Are
From
there
the high
shuttles
school.
the rest of the time too, or what are we doing?
I
We
think
doing
from
a shuttle for ribbon cutting?
Yes.
Yeah, but
the
it's on
shuttles
Cedar Street.
On Cedar Street.
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna try to use the schools for the weekend.
The
thing,
schools,
it's not
yeah,
a
the
school
weekend
thing.
So you
event.
can
School's
walk.
not in session, so you can just kind of walk down the
Walk
hill.
down
And
the
if
hill.
anybody needs any
Yeah, okay.
accommodations, they can just reach
That's
out.
for Saturday's open house,
Yeah.
which
We
is 9 to
have
noon.
two that I know they need closer access because of mobility issues.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
So at Mendez, we have a meeting next week. I know Paul Carpenter's really gearing up because he's got like a small window to get everything out when, between when school ends and when that building starts coming down. So everybody's starting to prepare for that.
Yep.
Valentine Project, we will have a larger update at our next meeting.
Okay.
Come here with pictures and all of that good stuff. So we're looking, that is moving forward. We've had some movement on the conservation restriction too. And Lisa's had her first look at the draft document, and so we're in a good spot.
Do you know approximately when we'll be talking about that here, like the restriction? Like where, if we're in a,
That's a good question.
I think we have too much going on our meeting on the 21st, but
21st and maybe the 12th, and I think the question is, do we want to just like get a first review from the state, like a cursory review from the state?
well, based on what Lisa said, I think that makes sense, right? That they want to see a red line from the original, from their.
Yeah.
So in Lisa's email, to Carl, Michael, and myself, she said the state wants to see the red line of their template based on what you did. So she's going to create that, and then we're going to send that to the state, and then it'll come back. I think
sure.
that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
okay. So not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Thank you guys for
Yep.
Yeah.
moving that forward. That's the next important
It's
step.
Carl has done a lot, and I think
He has.
and he's worked directly with the potential holder, and it's been good.
It has been good.
Go.
Warren District, well, we had the Hall House update. I did get some correspondence right before the meeting from Dale Hamill at FSU about the Warren Barn, but I haven't really had a chance to look into it and digest it. So that's priority projects. Do you want me to just... So two things under town manager report. I'll do the nasty one first. So on the agenda, it's an update on the Attorney General review of our building moratorium, which was Article 7 at the Fall Town Meeting. Unfortunately, the Attorney General has written to us and said that they have denied it. And I believe I provided to you their rationale and their response. We do have the potential to appeal that. There's a 60-day window that we can utilize to appeal it. I think that is something that we should strongly explore personally. We don't want to necessarily get into too many details tonight in open session just because we don't want to give away any kind of litigation strategy. But, I mean, from my perspective, there's some factual information that's wrong in the Attorney General's response and their rationale. And I think there's, I think it's a wrong take on a few things.
So let's look another executive session?
We will need to have another exec session on that.
Okay. Before the end of the month?
I don't know if we'll need to have it before the end of the month, but probably before the July
And-
12th meeting.
Okay.
July 12th, okay.
And possibly with the planning board as well, or working in conjunction with them and with Peter and, you know, about all these kinds of.
Yeah, well, I think like they've got the MBTA communities that they're focusing on.
Yeah, that's included in this, right?
Well,
No, I think. I mean, they kind of-
dragged it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Attorney General dragged it in, right? Whereas there are certain things that we did not, so. Yeah, I think if we do an exec session before our July 12th meeting, would that give us enough time to
Should give us
respond to
enough
this?
time, yes.
Okay, so you'll give us some ideas of what it should look like, or Lisa will, and.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say, just to kind of end it for tonight, the discussion is that I do think this has implications beyond Ashland and Metro West. There is one other community that passed a housing moratorium around the same time, and that's the town of Millbury. And Lisa was going to look into that. I don't think the Attorney General has provided a response yet for their.
So the one question I do have is, so right now we have a denial. I know we have a sewer moratorium. What happens if an application gets filed now? It would be under the sewer moratorium, but not a housing moratorium?
That is correct. Now, there's still this outstanding question. So let's say we do appeal the Attorney General's determination, and we are successful in that appeal.
Right.
When does the moratorium extend back to? Is it the date of the appeal?
It falls back, right?
Or does it go back to the original town meeting date?
Well, and then Lisa would have some type of.
Yeah.
She'll have that.
Yeah.
That's the big question. But yes, we do have the sewer moratorium in place, which effectively does kind of the same thing, unless a developer wants to do their own treatment plant.
So let me ask another question. So if we appeal this decision, we're appealing it to the Attorney General who reviewed this, or is it to
Superior
another?
Court.
Okay, okay.
So that's.
All right.
It's not land court, right?
Correct.
Superior Court.
Superior.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's potentially a years-long process.
It could be.
Wow. And that moratorium stays in abeyance, or it still stays in effect until?
If we
the court
appeal,
decision
then
is
it
made?
doesn't, then, yeah.
I'm
So-
sorry?
Or we don't know.
If we appeal it, and it takes whatever amount of time it takes for the Superior Court to hear this case, the moratorium's still in effect?
No, I mean, right now, the moratorium there's no moratorium. No housing moratorium,
Even upon appeal?
even upon appeal. So just
So the
because we
appeal
file
doesn't
an
buy
appeal-
us anything
It
then?
doesn't buy us any extra time?
No.
I was thinking maybe it would buy us some time to, but it doesn't.
Okay, that was where we were going. Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
So, and
It's
they,
interesting, a years-long process,
Yeah.
even if successful.
potentially, I mean, I do wonder if this is something that we could, well, that's really more the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say, let's have Lisa do some research, and then we'll do an exec session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
before
there's some
our meeting on the 12th.
specific things I need to get to Lisa.
Yep.
Some information that we talked about today, which I will provide her, and then she is going to provide more of a legal analysis of like, okay, this is what your
Great.
options are.
Thank you.
And generally speaking, like what legal standing we might have.
Right.
You know, because if it doesn't buy us anything, like as far as time, and it may take a year.
Right, at that point, we were looking at the end of it anyway, because, right,
We were looking
it was
at
only through
2024.
December
December of 2024, trying to tie it to our comprehensive plan. So,
And then we still have MBTA communities to deal with.
We do.
And does it make people hurry up and
apply.
work during that appeals time, right?
Well, the thing is, we do have the sewer moratorium in
Right,
place.
right.
And that's still in effect until,
December 31st, 2024.
oh, okay, okay,
So there's that, so we'll have more to come
okay.
on that. And then the last thing I had was last night we had a very special Board of Health meeting where the Board of Health honored Marie Kane with the Mary Mortensen Health Award. And it was the Board of Health's first meeting in person since the pandemic started. The room was packed, and it was just a good ceremony, good evening. What can be said about Mrs. Kane that hasn't been said? I mean, she's just a very special lady. It's a very special family, and she's really just been a role model at turning tragedy into a positive change for people and in the community. And she's just so humble about it. That's what makes her so effective, or one of the things that makes her so effective is she's just so humble.
Yep,
So,
well, congratulations to her.
yeah, so congratulations again, Mrs. King.
Yes, very well deserved.
And that's what I have.
And we still don't have a date on the MBTA station renovations.
No,
So,
no,
okay.
Angel did not get back to me yet.
And the decision has, because I read some notes from our last meeting, the decision has been made that they're actually going to close the station.
Correct.
For the 3 months to do the work.
To do the work.
But there's no date yet, so.
They have not, no, I'd reached out to Angel last week. He's my contact at MBTA. Angel Cortez.
I don't know that name.
There's a business on that, in that area that,
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody had talked to them.
So Susan has reached out to them and had a conversation. They were very appreciative of the heads up. So,
So we don't know, but it's later, this is June, they're talking July, August,
well, it was 6 weeks before 6 weeks after they get the go-ahead from their, top people.
Is when they'll start.
Yeah.
So we'll have at least a 6-week notice.
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's a little ways off then, it seems like.
Yeah.
It's too bad, because it would be nice if they were doing the work in the summer.
In the summer.
Right.
Well, I think
Not as-
it's still trying to do in the summer.
Yeah, I think they're gonna still do probably a good chunk of it. And I've experimented with my travel, and there's, I know, I've lived I'm almost on the Framingham line anyway, so to me, it's
I'd
like.
go to Framingham, yeah.
So, and I've figured out the back way to get to the Howard lot, and there's a ton of parking over there. So if people do want to make that change from Ashland over to Framingham, there's a ton of parking.
You're
So-
also saving money on your actual toll, your actual
Right.
fare, because
It's
it's
all
less
less.
expensive from Framingham.
I used to go from Framingham,
So, but to not have to, for me, I don't want to go through downtown Framingham and
Right.
deal with all that in the morning, because that's a
the tough
stressful
part.
thing.
That's the tough part.
So you can go around Cushing and then.
And the
back
Howard
that way.
lot's on the other side of the tracks, yeah.
Yeah, so there's an easy way to get over there.
Yep.
I love Google Map, it told me how to get over there. I'm like, oh, this is good. So just for anybody that commutes, there's a
There
good
are
parking
options.
option, yeah, so.
Hey, what did they do, you guys, I was there today, and I was wondering, Michael, did this ever come up? What do they do about the birds that live there?
Birds have never come up.
They still live
Well,
there,
there's hundreds of birds that live in that structure.
and they poop everywhere.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, some people, I don't know if they have a protocol, do you just kind of try to get them out of there without harming them, or?
Unleash the coyotes.
Yes. I mean,
All
it's
the
like,
pigeons.
No birds.
No birds.
Yeah. But it is, I was looking at all those, I was looking at all those birds, there's hundreds of birds, and nesting birds, yeah.
Motion to go past 10 o'clock.
Oh, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. 10 o'clock, how'd that happen?
Okay. All right, so, yeah, I know.
I know.
All right, so on that note, I think we're good to go on board
It's
reports.
quite a
Are
little
you good?
ecosystem
Okay.
there.
All right, so Claudia, you're up first. Board reports. Do you have anything that you would like to add tonight?
I did want to just, I was unable to be here for all the festivities this weekend because we were at a family wedding, but I did want to just note, let me just pull this up, please. that we've had, first of all, congratulate all of our seniors who just graduated, and then as well as all of our sports teams. And then in particular, I wanted to congratulate, we had many teams that made it into the playoffs, and that would be baseball, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, boys tennis, girls tennis, track individuals, and the golf state individuals. So I just wanted to congratulate all of them for making it.
It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice to have them all doing so well. You know, sports are an important way for our students to be more and more, you know, I see how important it is for students to make that connection with each other, to become teammates. It's such a powerful opportunity for them to experience life together. So congratulations to all the class of 2023, too.
Okay.
It's pretty warm in there, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost somebody at class day.
Yes, I heard that.
Graduation was a little cooler.
Yeah, graduation wasn't as bad.
That's right.
Yeah, it was class day. Yeah. All right. Are you all good? Is that,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Joe, you're up next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's nice to hear about the Clocker sporting teams. That's awesome. Congratulations, and good luck for the rest of their tournament season. I just want to comment on the Memorial Day event that we all attended. It was very well done. The numbers are getting smaller and smaller as the years go by, and it's kind of sad. So hopefully, whoever takes over remembers that to do the things that need to get done. It was a nice ceremony, and very beneficial for those who remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, for sure.
And, you know, Joe, if I can just add to that, Lieutenant Colonel Walker, who spoke, and he mentioned about how important it is for our veterans organizations, right? And that if people wanted to consider making a donation to them, but how important it is for those organizations to continue.
Continue. Yep, because they're losing their membership. It's sad. Just tomorrow, June 8th, we're having the ribbon cutting ceremony. Looking forward to it. This will definitely be closing a 5-year program, a 5-year study. For me, it's been over 30 years to get this project on the road and get it done. Means something very dear to me, so I'm very grateful. And summer concerts will begin at the end of the month. I'll be talking with Mike Duca to make sure that we have a slate of great bands this year. A lot of new bands. You'll be surprised with the variety of music, so it'll be fun.
And
Tuesday nights.
Mike's arranging the bands?
Yep.
Is that- oh,
Yep.
that's nice.
So that'll be that. And again, congratulations to Marie Kane. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Well deserved. And you're right about being a humble person. She's a sweetheart. I can still call her mom. She lets me call her mom. So with that, and then open house this weekend
Saturday.
at the Public Safety Building, 9 to 12, I think.
Oh, and your open house too, Joe.
Oh, yeah, my open house,
And
our
mine,
open house
yes, exactly.
on Saturday will be at the public library for
For office
selecting for
hours.
office hours.
Oh, the two of you are doing it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about your house. The pool was gonna, you're gonna open up the pool.
If it gets warm. It's not
Don't get me
raining.
started.
Oh, I know. So that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Yolanda, you're up next.
Okay, couple things. Last week, I drove into Boston to attend the MAPC annual meeting. It was great. The Lieutenant Governor spoke. So MAPC, for those of you who don't know, 101 cities and towns are all part of this Municipal Area Planning Commission. I am Ashland's representative to that. So it was great to go in. It was fun. I took a couple of the other select board members from other towns. We drove in together, so it was a good thing to do. Class day was Friday, 2023. Congratulations to all of the graduates. As always, as a select board member, getting to do some of those things is always a fun thing to do. So class day, and yes, yeah, it was the 150th graduating class of Ashland High School, and from the past years, it was one of the smaller ones. Only 178 students, and as of next year, they're all over 200. So
So to add to that, my 50th class reunion is this year.
were you the 100th graduating
We
class?
were the 100th.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, then that's right, yeah.
Go ahead.
Nope. Nope, Joe.
Also, Saturday the 3rd, I attended the opening day of the Corner Spot. Considering the weather, the turnout was really good. There was some great music and food and drink and just a lot of stuff going on. There's a bunch of stuff coming up this weekend. Opening day of the Farmers Market is on Saturday from 9 to 1. The Friends of the Ashland Public Library are having their big book sale this Saturday as well. Culture Fest got moved from May to this Saturday from 3 to 7 at the Corner Spot. The K9 5K at the YMCA Outdoor Center is on Sunday, and of course all the public safety stuff. If you don't see me, I apologize, but I won't be getting around much this weekend. So
Wish you the very best.
Good luck.
thank you. I'm having knee replacement surgery on Friday.
Easy peasy.
It will allow me to get healthy. That's
Very good.
Good luck.
Yeah.
anyway. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. All right, Rob, you're up next.
Just some event, I went to the MBTA Advisory Board Forum, or actually it was a virtual on June 1st. I think you all should have also got an invitation of that. It's just an interesting, the new general manager, Philip Eng, was there along with Mr. Salvucci, who goes way back to the Dukakis administration. Yes, that's Salvucci. But they were talking, he's on the board. He's, I think, the board chair. But, it was good. They talked about all the issues, but it seemed like a serious effort to improve service across the board, talking about the finances and the issues they're dealing with. And Mr. Eng seems like, a good, competent person who wants to do the right thing, which they all do. So, it was an optimistic meeting. People are getting serious about mass transit, and they say, ridership's coming back. I don't know if you guys got the Keolis newsletter just came out, first time in years, I guess, that they claim 80% ridership on the commuter rail. I was a little skeptical about that, but
It's not reflective in our parking lot.
no, I don't think so.
The
But
trains are pretty crowded,
Yeah.
though, like in the middle of the week, like especially
You're
Tuesday,
seeing
Wednesday,
that.
Thursday.
Yeah.
They don't collect fares, though.
Yeah.
So they need
That's
to do
an
a better
ongoing
job.
issue,
of-
yeah.
I
Yeah.
heard that from, who was I
No, it's
talking
very
to?
much a discretionary thing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it up at the commuter rail.
If you're
meeting.
having a budgetary problem, to not collect
How
fares
can they
makes
not be
no
doing that,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
I've been on the train twice in the past few months, and neither time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
The-
what?
It really varies. Some guys are very systematic and go through the whole car, and others don't. It's a management issue. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to add that came up at this seminar was the MBTA Communities Act. But it came up in the context of, look, if you guys are forcing this kind of housing, you better have quality service. So if that's the other half of that, is to have good quality commuter rail. So that's just a quick update on that. The other thing, you remember, I attended and Michael was there, and so was Beth, the Ashland Cultural Council meeting where they took up the Starbucks mural question. So they're very enthusiastic about it. If you remember that the planning board set up the Starbucks mural, which we talked briefly about, but it seems to be well on its way, and the ACC was very enthusiastic about it. So it looks like it's going to be a good project, and hopefully it'll work out. And I think we've addressed many, some of the issues and questions people had. And Michael, thanks for coming to that and helping with the process. I went to Pride Day. Brandy and I were there. It was a great event, well done. People put a lot of effort into it. But Representative Lewis gave a very moving kind of personal story about his own experience as a young man and the importance of things like, Pride Day. So that was nice. And the only other thing I said, thanks, folks, for electing me chair for the next term. I appreciate the confidence. And I wanted to thank Randy for all your work and the standard you set for being chair. And you did a great job. Anyway,
Thank you.
Thank you. That's my thing. So.
Thank you. All right. The Pride event was great. Ashland is United did a great job getting all that together, and that had good turnout too. The weather was just not very cooperative this weekend, but they put on a great event. So, we are flying the pride flag at Town Hall for the month of June. So just wishing everyone who celebrates a happy Pride Month for the month of June. June 19th is Juneteenth, so that's coming up as a holiday and a remembrance. So keeping that in mind, I'm sure town offices are closed for Juneteenth.
We do have something, don't we?
Is Ashland is United doing anything?
Ashland is United, well, it's going to be something at the farmer's market, my understanding.
Oh, okay.
With area and Ashland is United and
Okay.
a couple organizations.
Okay. We do have a comprehensive plan steering committee meeting coming up next week. We are going to be interviewing our candidates on the 21st, so that will be kind of a huge milestone once we get our
That's the joint meeting, right?
That's our joint. So we'll be meeting starting at 6 with the planning board and then going through the interviews prior to our general meeting, so that'll be a long one, so maybe we should bring snacks. So that we'll have our next steering committee meeting next week, and talked about graduation, and just the end of school is June 20th this year, which is coming up quick.
I feel so bad for these people. They have a 3-day weekend and then they have to come back for a half a day.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I saw that on the calendar. I'm like, oh.
So yeah, the way
the kids.
There might be a lot of kids that don't come.
I was just gonna say that.
And the high school, for the high school's done. So the high school finishes their final exams a week from tomorrow, week from Friday. So they're pretty much done. So I just wanted to wish everyone a happy summer. And thank you to the teachers and the administrators and all the staff and at Ashland Public Schools and the parents.
No buses on the road.
No buses on the roads, and all the parents and students that have worked really hard this year. And as I say in my household, we're limping to the finish line. So, but graduation was great. Personally, like Yolanda and I were there, and there's so many kids now that I know, which is kind of becoming both very special and very real all of a sudden. Like it's starting to feel real, but graduation was pretty awesome. So, and I look forward to seeing y'all at the ribbon cutting tomorrow for the public safety building. So, and thank you guys for putting together what I assume will be a stellar celebration. So,
Pretty exciting.
okay.
Yeah.
So, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we adjourn at 10:12 tonight. Our next meeting will be on June 21st. Again, we will be starting with the planning board and a joint meeting at 6 p.m. And this is my last meeting as chair, so I'm handing over that gavel. So.
Thank you again for all your effort and all your work.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been a good year.
Made it a lot easier.
So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for hanging in there, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks.